Chapter 72. Vegetarian Patriarch, what's the matter? Shenning asked. Straight face, what the hell was Vegetarian Patriarch? It felt like the way Great Immortal addressed him was constantly changing. Shun. Great Immortal Shun. He took a step forward and calmed himself down before remembering his purpose. I heard that 4 disciples of Invincible Sect have entered the finals. I'm here to congratulate your sect. You're too kind, Patriarch. Lone Moon took a step forward and smiled. Didn't the Xianyuan family also have 5 disciples in the finals? We'd like to congratulate you as well, Patriarch. How can my disciples compare to Great Immortal's disciples? Xianyuan smiled even more politely and began to flatter each other. He then took out a bottle of elixirs and handed it over. By the way, this is a spirit condensation elixir used to nourish spirit chi. It's not a big elixir, but it will be more effective when used with the previous bottle of vitality elixir. It's suitable for your disciples. Take it as a congratulation to your sect for entering the finals. Lone Moon looked at the bottle and found that it was indeed a 5th grade pill. He did not reject it and accepted the goodwill. Thank you, Patriarch Xianyuan. If you need any rare herbs in the future, feel free to come to Invincible Sect. We'll do our best. With that said, he looked at the arrogant Radish. Xianyuan looked over as well. Everyone else subconsciously turned to look at Radish. What? You want me to bloom? An image flashed across their minds. Everyone's mouths twitched. The situation was extremely awkward. What parent? You're looking for me for something, right? Shenning spoke up, breaking the strange atmosphere. Xianyuan paused. Indeed. He was silent for a while, as if he did not know what to say. After a while he said, It's like this. The patriarch of the Yin family is curious about Great Immortal. He heard that Great Immortal was here, so he asked me to come and see if I could meet you. The Yin family? Shenning paused. The Yin family is the organizer of this competition. Thinking of this, Xianyuan could not help but grit his teeth and complain about the sly old foxes of the Yin family. The Xianyuan family was one of the 4 aristocratic families. Their every move was watched by all the sects in the Upper Azure world. It was no secret that he had been overly friendly to Shunning these 2 days. Presumably, the 4 great families were now guessing her identity. The Yin family was no exception, but he hadn't expected that unlike the other 2 families, Yin Feng would directly seek him out and ask for an introduction. It was obvious that no matter who the other party was, they had to get to know him first. The Yin family was indeed the biggest profiteer in the Upper Azure world. They were faster and more decisive than others. However, because of the relationship between the 2 families, he had no choice but to brace himself and mention it to the great deity. Why does he want to see me? Shenning was confused. Xianyuan froze for a moment before replying. Maybe. I just admire the Great Immortal's elegance and want to get to know you. When? After the finals tomorrow. Oh, so troublesome. After the match, she just wanted to go home and sleep. If it's not convenient for Great Immortal, another day is fine. Don't worry. I didn't reveal any information about you to him. Afraid that she would be angry, Xianyuan immediately added, I'll inform Patriarch Yin to cancel tomorrow's banquet. A banquet? Shenning suddenly perked up. She grabbed his hand and said, In order not to make things difficult for you, I've decided to go. Tell me what time. What time? Where is the venue? Is there a dress code? How are the dishes? Xianyuan, Lone Moon, I Ching. The 3rd day. The finals of the sect competition were finally here. Compared to the first day, there were more people watching the competition this time. Even the 4 big family clans were here, including the host, the Yin family. The finals would be a duel, and the winner would enter the next round. Then, one person would draw lots to decide who would get a bye, and the top 3 would be decided. Lone Moon had already told the 4 people who had advanced to the finals last night that they had already achieved their goal of entering the top 10. There was no need to work too hard, especially for the 2 golden core cultivators. The other people in the top 10 were all disciples of the perfected golden core aristocratic families. The foundation establishment cultivators fared better, but after a series of battles, only one of them entered the top 5 and was defeated. It was already a pleasant surprise to be able to get 5th place, but they did not expect the Golden Core group to be even more pleasantly surprised. They actually advanced to the finals of the top 3. What's more, this person was not the mid-stage Golden Core Yu Hong, but Sister Siyu, who had just formed her core and looked the weakest. Lone Moon was a little confused. He did not see her fight just now. How did she suddenly enter the top 3? After asking around, he found out that it was because, got a bye? I Ching was stunned. He did not expect this to be the reason. I heard that one of the 10 people got into a fight last night and was seriously injured. That's why he withdrew from the competition. She was lucky again. She got a bye twice. That was why she did not have to do anything and directly advanced to the finals of the top 3. Lone Moon and I Ching exchanged a look. They were both speechless. Sister Siyu's luck was really unparalleled. Sister Little Green is up, Shenning suddenly said as she pointed to the arena. Indeed, the arena had been cleared. 2 figures, one green and one blue, appeared. The one in green was Siyu. Her opponent was a perfected Golden Core cultivator. Judging from his aura, he was already half a step into the nascent soul stage. The 2 of them had no choice but to focus on the competition. Yu Hong was still fine. She was at the mid-stage Golden Core stage. But Siyu had to fight. This was going to be a tough battle. Lone Moon had already thought about how he was going to comfort the girl later, so that he wouldn't hurt her confidence. Yin Yuanfei of the Yin family seeks your guidance. The figure in blue cupped his fists and bowed. Siyu gripped her sword tightly. She was clearly nervous. She looked up at the highest point of the spectator stand. Then, as if gathering her courage, she took a deep breath and shouted, "Invincible sect Siyu, please guide me, fellow Taoist." The next moment, the 2 figures flashed at the same time and began to fight. Yin Yuanfei had a rare thunder spirit root. Every move he made was accompanied by lightning. In addition, his cultivation level was high. In a short while, the entire arena was filled with the sound of thunder. Siyu had no place to stand. Siyu could only dodge. At first, she was a little flustered, but after a while she calmed down. While dodging, she used her sword to split the lightning around her. In a short while, besides the lightning, there was also sword chi. Yin Yuanfei was stunned for a moment, and then there was a hint of admiration in his eyes. He originally thought that this junior sister was lucky because she always drew a blank every time, so she had the chance to fight him. But he never expected that she really had some ability. Her cultivation level was so much lower than his, but she could still deal with his lightning so easily. She was indeed worthy of being in the top 10. Could it be that she was a sword cultivator? His heart sank. His expression became more serious. Fellow Taoist, your sword technique is amazing. Chapter 73. He mobilized his spirit chi and did not hold back. He attacked with all his might. Suddenly, the ground was filled with lightning. In a short while, a long dragon formed by lightning appeared in the field. As the opponent moved, rocks flew everywhere and lightning filled the air. It charged towards Siyu with a shocking momentum. Siyu was shocked. It was too late to retreat. She could only leap into the air. She retracted her sword chi and formed hundreds of spirit swords around her, blocking the lightning that was everywhere. But her cultivation level was lower than her opponent's. She could only defend for a short while. The longer she fought, the more spirit chi she used. In less than half an hour, her spirit chi was exhausted. Occasionally, lightning would break through the sword array and hit her body. The sword array was on the verge of collapsing. It was over. Yin Yuanfei heaved a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to give his opponent the final blow and win the match, he faintly felt a chill on his back. His rich battle experience made him subconsciously use his sword to block the attack. He felt a weight on his hand. Siyu, who had been trapped in the lightning, suddenly appeared behind him. He looked back. There was no longer anyone in the sword array. An illusion array. He retreated in shock. He did not expect her to know array formations. His palms felt numb. Were all sword cultivators this strong? He became even more cautious as he fought. The 2 of them fought for another 2 hours. Although they did not gain an advantage, Siyu was only at the early Golden Core stage. She was slowly losing ground. Even her movements to dodge the lightning were becoming slower and slower. Yin Yuanfei heaved a sigh of relief. The lightning he summoned became more and more concentrated. Siyu frowned. Although she was not satisfied, she could not win this battle. She used up the last bit of her spirit qi. The defense around Siyu instantly disappeared. The lightning that filled the sky immediately struck her body. Just as she was about to give up, a bolt of lightning struck her in the chest, and something slid out from inside. Her expression changed. She hurriedly tried to pick it up, but it was too late. A bell fell to the ground with a ding, and was smashed into pieces by the lightning. Her face instantly turned deathly pale. She no longer cared about the lightning around her. Her eyes widened as she stared at the ground. My ring. Ring. Yin Yuanfei stopped his attacks right away when he saw Chen Xi had completely stopped resisting, and then he cupped his fists and said, "Fellow Taoist, thank you for letting me win." He thought she hadn't heard him clearly, so he said, "Fellow Taoist, your spiritual aura is already exhausted. There's no need to continue this fight." He kindly reminded her to admit defeat. Fellow Taoist, why are you?" He took a step forward. But before he could finish speaking, the person who was in a daze suddenly turned around with bloodshot eyes, and a murderous aura rushed toward him. "I'll kill you, bastard." Huh. Before he could react, he saw the other party's originally exhausted body suddenly bulge with strong muscles. Even her sleeves were torn. Her originally petite figure suddenly grew several times taller. A pair of eyes that seemed to be burning with monstrous anger pierced her body like a sharp sword. "You. Give. Back. My. Gift. Danger." 2 words immediately appeared in his mind. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. He only felt his collar tighten, and he was directly thrown to the ground. In the next moment, the raindrop-like fists landed on his face, accompanied by a series of questions. "Return my gift. Return my gift. Return my gift." Each punch was heavier than the one before, and each punch was more irresistible than the one before. After a few breaths, Yin Yuanfei completely lost consciousness. Only the sound of punches could be heard in the arena. There was dead silence. What did they see? Body cultivator. A woman. The kind who would pant while alive. Lone Moon, who knew the situation. What the hell was that steel Barbie? Return my soft and adorable disciple. The bloody beating on the arena lasted for a whole 10 minutes, before the referee outside the arena reacted. He hurriedly shouted, "Invincible! Invincible sect, Siyu wins!" With that said, he jumped onto the arena, wanting the people in the arena to stop. Just as he approached, Siyu, who had already transformed into a steel Barbie, turned around and glared at him. Her eyes were still red, and her whole body began to attack indiscriminately. She had no intention of stopping. The referee was so frightened that he stopped. "Shening." Lone Moon gritted his teeth and turned to look at the person beside him. It was all her fault. Huh. Shening looked confused. "What?" "Master." I Ching, who was the only one who was calm, reminded her. "If she doesn't stop, that person is going to be beaten to death." And she was so angry that she seemed to be unable to hear what others were saying. "Oh!" Shening finally spoke. She shouted, "Little Green, stop fighting." The people in the arena paused. They stopped instantly. She slowly turned her head and looked over. Her entire huge body trembled. Suddenly, she sniffled and tears began to flow out of her eyes. She pointed at the bell on the ground and began to bawl. "Sect Master, bell bell my bell wah." For a moment, the entire arena was filled with Siyu's heartbroken cries. Everyone. What was going on? Why was the winner crying first? The one who should be crying should be the one who was beaten, right? Shening could not help but feel a little guilty. She got up and jumped onto the arena. She patted Siyu's shoulder and said, "Don't cry, don't cry." "Sect Master." Siyu sniffled. For a moment, it was as if she had found someone to rely on. Her aura dissipated. In the blink of an eye, she became that delicate and adorable girl again. But my bell, it's all right. It's broken, so be it." Shening turned and took out a piece of candy from her pocket. As if coaxing a child, she said, "Do you want candy?" "Sect Master, you're giving it to me?" Siyu stopped crying. Her face was full of disbelief. Then, can you give me a new bell? Sure, I'll get Chef to make one when we get back. Thank you, Sect Master. The two of them spoke as they walked out of the arena. Everyone. What kind of freaking sect was this? Father Nyo, let's go eat at the celebration banquet. Shenning waved at the despairing man in the room. Eat your sister. Lone Moon clenched the cup in his hand and crushed it into pieces. He exploded in anger. What's there to celebrate? See, you became the champion of the Golden Core stage in this year's sect competition. The name of Invincible Sect spread throughout the entire Upper Azure world. But Lone Moon was not happy at all. He even wanted to curse at them. Because of Cuyu's battle, the entire Upper Azure world knew that everyone in Invincible Sect was a body cultivator. Not many people liked to cultivate in the first place. With this wave of publicity, it was completely blocked. Others wanted to join Invincible Sect. After all, there were easier ways to cultivate. No one would want to become a body cultivator who could easily be struck to death by lightning. Originally, when he brought the 9 girls to participate in the competition, he had instructed them to only use the sword techniques they had learned in battle. First, it was because they were indeed proficient in sword techniques. Second, it was to hide their identity as body cultivators. Even if people felt that their bodies were stronger than the average person's, they would at most think that they were sword cultivators. In the end, who the hell knew that there was a second form for body cultivators? Once they fought, all their muscles would burst out, and they would turn into a metal Barbie. Were they King messing with him? He felt that the heavens were starting to dislike him more and more. For all, MMP. Chapter 74. The Yin family was indeed the wealthiest family in the Upper Azure world. The banquet was arranged at the largest restaurant in Yin Tian City, Zhengfeng Restaurant. Once the sky turned dark, they sent their disciples to invite the guests and cleared the place early. When Shenning arrived, Xian Yuanyu and the head of the Yin family, Yin Feng, were already waiting at the door. They had met during the finals in the day, but they had not spoken to each other. Unlike the other 3 family heads, Yin Feng looked especially amiable and always had a smile on his face. Seeing them land, he quickly walked up to them. Xian Yuanyu took a few steps forward and bowed to Shenning. Great Immortal. Then he turned and introduced, "This is the head of the Yin family, Yin Feng. What a rare guest. Fellow Taoists, you must have had a tough journey." Yin Feng's smile deepened. "Good evening." Shenning glanced at the restaurant in front of her and waved in a good mood. "Fellow Taoist." Yin Feng glanced at the people behind her and continued, "I was busy during the day and haven't had time to congratulate your sect's disciples for winning the Golden Core first place in the competition. Indeed, a great teacher produces a great disciple." Lone Moon stiffened. He felt like he had been shot in the knee again. "Has the banquet started?" Shenning had no interest in this kind of business flattery and went straight to the point. "How would I dare to start the banquet before everyone is here?" Yin Feng stepped back and said, "Fellow Taoist, thank you for attending this banquet. Come, please come in." Shenning was really a little hungry. Just as she was about to enter, she bumped into a familiar sign at the entrance. She froze and stopped at the door, feeling cold sweat dripping down her face. "Master, why?" I Ching, who was following behind, was just about to speak when his eyes scanned the sign, and he also froze. The sign was written in large gold letters. "Shenning and dogs are not allowed inside." Seeing that they had suddenly stopped, Yin Feng followed their line of sight and immediately explained with a smile. "Oh, this was put up for a few rogue cultivators. A few years ago, a restaurant under the Yin family reported that 3 cultivators not only dined and dashed, but also tried to escape. That's why they put up this sign as a warning and punishment. The person on the sign is the mastermind. The 3 who dashed and dashed. Profiteers." Xian Yuanyu looked curiously and was shocked. Why does this person's name sound like? Before he could finish speaking, he felt 3 cold gazes poking at his chest, and he froze. The great immortal's gaze suddenly became so scary? Did he say something wrong? This sign has been up for more than a year. It's just an old matter that's not worth mentioning. "Everyone, please come in." Yin Feng was still smiling amiably, not noticing the abnormality of the few people. The moment he stepped into the shop, he seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Xining and said, "Oh yes, I only know that you are from Invincible Sect. May I know your names?" The corner of Xinying's mouth twitched. She glanced at the sign beside her and replied after a while, "My name is Qing." "Qing what?" She poked Chef beside her. A certain chef understood immediately and reminded in a low voice, "I Qing." "Yes, I Qing," she said seriously. "My name is I Qing. My name is Lone Moon." I Qing immediately replied, "Lone Moon? Shit. MMP." In Feng was shocked. I Qing, Lone Moon. Weren't these the two sword cultivators who broke into the Xian Yuan family a year ago? He suddenly understood why Xian Yuanyu was so friendly towards them. So that was why. So it's Sect Master Yi and Supremacy Lone Moon. In Feng, who thought he knew the truth, turned to look at the other person on the right. Then I wonder who this Supremacy is. The corner of Lone Moon's mouth twitched. Damn it, he had already told them all their names. What else was he supposed to say? He turned to glare at the two of them. After a while he gritted his teeth and said, "Niu Huayan." Fortunately he still had his real name. These two ungrateful bastards. "Supremacy Niu." In Feng nodded. "Everyone please come in." Only Xian Yuanyu looked confused. What was going on? Why did they all suddenly change their names? Great Immortal even changed her own disciple's name? Could it be that she was unhappy about today's banquet and deliberately did not tell the Yin family her real name? Great Immortal's thoughts were so hard to guess. When the group entered the restaurant, they realized that it was a whole different world inside. Immortal fog lingered and spirit chi filled the air. Every step they took, a different scene appeared in front of them. It did not look like they were in a restaurant, but more like a scenic spot. Yin Feng led the group to the center of a peach forest. Only then did they see that there were many tables and chairs in front of them. The tables were already filled with all kinds of food. Shen Ying's eyes lit up. There were more than 10 servant girls standing by the table. The moment they arrived, a man dressed in blue rushed forward excitedly. The man was very tall and had the body of a model. It was just that his face was a little hard to describe. A mass of red, a mass of green, and a mass of purple. It was especially colorful. "Father." The man practically jogged over. He first bowed to Xining and the others. "Greetings, Supremacies." He immediately turned to look at the group of girls behind him. His eyes lit up and he said excitedly to the girl standing next to him, "Miss Siyu, we meet again." Siyu was stunned. She lowered her head out of habit and hid behind Yu Hong. "Fei didn't I tell you to rest in your room? Why did you come out?" In Feng smiled awkwardly and explained, "This is my son Yuan Fei." He gave the man a look. "Father is entertaining guests. How could Yuan Fei not come out to greet them? Everyone please take a seat." Yuan Fei had no intention of going back. Instead he smiled even more brightly. He even led the group to their seats. But his gaze was fixed on Siyu. He was so enthusiastic that it seemed like he was glowing. There was hope. "Who is this?" Shenning looked at Chef beside her. Yuan Fei, second in the golden core stage," I Qing replied. He then added, "The one who was beaten up by Siyu during the day." Oh, she suddenly thought of a certain figure who was beaten up during the day. She looked sympathetically at that person's face, which had yet to recover. Young people these days have such strong tastes. How could he like someone after being beaten up? Shenning wanted to continue gossiping, but she was too hungry. The moment she sat down, she focused on eating. In Feng, who was sitting at the head of the table, also began to flatter Shenning. When Shenning ate, she did not speak much. Apart from oh and N, she basically did not respond. Needless to say, apart from Shenning, he had always been a man of few words. His replies were as simple as they could be. He only focused on silently moving the food in front of him, to Xinying's table beside him. And the other 9 girls were a generation lower in status. Thus, Lone Moon was the only one left to answer the question. In Feng had wanted to get information out of them, find out their background, and build a good relationship. Although he was a cultivator, he was also half a businessman. He had thought that it would be easy to get information about their background. But he did not expect to meet Lone Moon. Half a current profiteer met a former profiteer from the people. One could imagine the result. In less than an hour, Yin Feng did not get any information at all. Instead, he was turned upside down by the other party. They even agreed to buy invincible sex spirit herbs at double the market price. And the Xianyuan family would refine them into pills for free. By the time they reacted, Yin Feng was already holding the contract with their fingerprints. Brother Yin, Brother Xianyuan, I wish us a happy cooperation in the future. Lone Moon happily shook Yin Feng's hand, looking like a typical business elite. Xianyuan, Yin Feng. Where were they and what did they do just now? Chapter 75. Thank you, family head Yin, for your hospitality. It's getting late, so we won't disturb you any longer. Lone Moon put away the contract in his arms and raised his wine glass to the person sitting at the main seat. Yin Feng was still immersed in the unequal contract, but the other party had already stood up and was about to leave. Let's go. Lone Moon pulled Shining up. Oh, Shining, who was almost done eating, clapped her hands and stood up as well. What's your name? Thank you, goodbye. Yin Feng had no choice but to stand up and send them off. It was too late to regret, so he could only smile and walk them to the door. Goodbye, family heads. Lone Moon cupped his fists and smiled politely. Take care, fellow Taoist. The few of them were just about to step onto the Dharma artifact when Yin Yuanfei, who had been circling around Sister Siyu all night, suddenly called out, Miss Siyu. Everyone paused and turned to look at him. Siyu in particular frowned subconsciously. Is there anything else? This. Yin Yuanfei's face turned red. He looked reluctant, but he could not think of a reason to leave. He was born the son of the Yin family's family head, and he had the rare thunder spirit root. His cultivation was smooth, and he was extremely talented. Ever since he was young, he had been the most outstanding disciple of his generation. Whether it was in the various sects or the four big families, he had rarely met a worthy opponent. This was the first time he had been suppressed by someone, and the other party was a female cultivator. He was also at the age where he was experiencing his first awakening of love. Naturally, he took her to heart. However, although she looked weak, she did not seem to have any romantic feelings for him. Be careful. Tomorrow morning I'll go to your little courtyard to look for you. What are you going to my little courtyard for? Siyu took a step back unhappily. She did not know this person well. Yin Yuanfei paused, his face turning even redder. He scratched his head anxiously. After a while, as if he had found a reasonable excuse, he said, Well, didn't the Yin family want to buy invincible sex spirit herbs? I'll send the deposit tomorrow. Yin Feng. Xianyuan. Prodigal asterisk 2. They're such a pig-headed teammate. Lone Moon was delighted. Although he did not intend to accept it at first, he quickly stepped forward and said, Then we will await young Master Yin's arrival tomorrow. To prevent them from going back on their words, Lone Moon did not stay any longer. He led the group of people away. Only Yin Yuanfei was left standing where he was. He stared blankly at the direction in which everyone had disappeared. After the sect competition ended, Lone Moon seemed to have found a new goal in life. He forced himself to stay in Yintian City for a few more days. No one knew what he was busy with. He disappeared early in the morning and only returned when it was dark. It had been a long time since he had threatened someone with his living expenses. Shining felt a little bored. Sect Master. Sister Siyu suddenly walked in. She looked hesitant and conflicted as she looked at her timidly. I have something to ask you. Sure. Shining was feeling bored when she patted the chair beside her. Have a seat. Do you want some melon seeds? Thank you, Sect Master. Siyu bowed respectfully and sat beside him excitedly. What's the matter? She suddenly looked up at I Ching and lowered her head in embarrassment. Shining understood immediately. She coughed and said, Well, Chef, why don't you go and make lunch first? Master, it's not lunchtime yet. I Ching looked at Siyu unhappily. He did not move. He was not leaving. Then how about some pastries? I've already prepared the pastries. Then pour some tea. The tea is still hot. Xin Ying's mouth twitched. She had no choice but to point it out. Go anywhere for a while. We want to talk about girly topics. I Ching was stunned. He looked hurt. Can't your disciple listen? You're not a girl. This is Master's order. Listen to me. Yes, Master. Only then did I Ching walk away. Before he left, he glared at Siyu coldly. Little bitch, you're trying to steal my master again. Say it. What's the matter? Once he was far away, she looked at Siyu. Sect Master. Siyu lowered her head. After a while she said in a low voice. In the future can I not see young Master Yin? Young Master Yin? Who? He's the young master of the Yin family Yin Yuanfei. Oh, that masochist. So it's a relationship problem. What's the matter? You don't like him? Ever since the banquet, that Yin Yuanfei had been coming to look for her every day. He kept coming up with all sorts of excuses to ask her out. Things like giving her a down payment, giving her too little down payment, changing his mind, and wanting to pay her in full. Father Neo had high hopes for this young man. 0. Young Master Yin is very good. She lowered her head even more. But we're not compatible. After all, I used to be a fire. Little green. Shening frowned and interrupted her. No one can change the past. You can only change the future. I think you're very good. You have to think you're good too. Only then will others think you're good. You have to learn to love yourself before you can love others. But don't overcomplicate things sometimes. Shening stuffed a piece of cake into the corner of her mouth. It's fine as long as you're happy about it. If he cares about your past, that only proves that he's not worth your attention. If you like him, then be together. If you don't, then break up. What's the big deal? Is that so? Of course. She nodded vigorously. I've been through it. When it comes to relationships, it's normal to break up and get back together. It's fine as long as you don't take it too seriously. You can't hang on to one tree. Life is so long. You have to try hanging on to a few more. You're still young. That's why you're hesitating about whether you like him or not. Sect Master, have you been cultivating for a long time? Of course. I'm almost in my 30s now. 30? She paused. Sect Master's words are so profound. I've been cultivating for 60 to 70 years, but I still can't fully understand it. Shening stiffened. She coughed and said, Keep it up. When you grow up, you won't be hesitating about whether you like him or not. You'll be hesitating about whether you like him or not. Is that possible? She felt as if she had opened the door to a whole new world. Of course. Trust me, that's how relationships between men and women work. But, her eyes brightened. He's the young master of the Yin family after all. If we offend him, won't it be bad for the sect? Don't worry. I'm here. What's there to be afraid of? Alright, Sect Master. I understand. With that said, she seemed to have made up her mind about something. She stood up abruptly and said, I'm going over right now. With that, she stormed out the door. Wait a minute. Where was she going? What did she just say? Chapter 76. In the end, Siyu did not return until the afternoon. Shening was a little worried and asked Radish and Yu Hong to look for her. But when night fell, Yu Hong and Radish were nowhere to be seen, much less Siyu. Even Lone Moon had returned. Could something have really happened? The more Shening thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. It was just a breakup. Could it be that the masochist was not satisfied after being rejected and captured her? Go and find out if there's any news about the Yin family's young master. Lone Moon also realized that something was wrong. He immediately sent a girl to investigate. That girl had only left for less than 5 minutes when she hurriedly returned. Sect Master. In the afternoon, the Yin family's young master got into a conflict with someone in the west of the city. They even got into a fight. I heard that they met people from the Soul-Chasing Tower. Soul-Chasing Tower? Lone Moon stood up in shock. Who are they? I Ching asked. That's an organization that's neither good nor evil. Lone Moon frowned. The people inside are good at concealing their tracks. Even high-level cultivators would not be able to detect them easily. I heard that their information network is spread all over the 3 Azure realms. They specialize in selling the secrets of various sects for a living. As long as you can afford it, you can find out what you want. Their main building is in the west of the city. Then why did they capture our sect's disciples? I Ching frowned. Maybe it's because they won the competition, and some people are jealous. Lone Moon snorted and gripped the flute in his hand. If they want to be jealous, they have to see if they have the ability to do so. Do they really think that our invincible sect is easy to bully? With that said, he turned to Shining. Shining, I'm going to the soul-chasing tower with I Ching. We'll be back soon. Alright. Shining nodded. But little. Before she could finish, Lone Moon and I Ching had already disappeared in the west of the city. They had gone to find someone to settle scores with. A while later, Little White. Yes, Sect Master. When Little Hong and Radish left just now, they said they were going to the east of the city to find someone, right? I think so. Then can they find someone? Shining hesitated about whether she should chase after them and warn them. Just then, someone else came looking for them from outside. This person was dressed in the standard blue robes of the Yin family. He looked to be in his 40s, and looked a little familiar. Greetings, Sect Master Yi. That person bowed to her. Ah! Shining hesitated for a moment. She thought of a certain forbidden token and reacted. Oh, you called me? Yes, I'm Sect Master Yi. This lowly one is the shopkeeper of Zhengfeng Restaurant, a branch of the Yin clan. The patriarch asked me to invite sect leader Yi to the Yu family's residence in Huayuan City as soon as possible, said the man hurriedly, looking a little anxious. The Yu family? She was stunned. Why are we going there? Young master, see you, and Lady Yu Hong are at the Yu family right now. What? Wasn't he captured by the soul-chasing tower? I'm not too sure about the specifics, but it doesn't seem to be a small matter. Patriarch has already rushed over. If he's late, go. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Shining grabbed him and rushed out of the door. They left the city and ran in the direction the shopkeeper had pointed. Yintian City was not far from Huayuan City. Shining ran very fast. In less than an hour, they had arrived at the Yu family's residence. Coincidentally, they met Yin Feng and Xian Yuanyu at the door. Fellow Taoist Yi. Yin Feng looked at Shining in surprise. He did not expect her to arrive so quickly. Great Immortal. Xian Yuanyu was also shocked. He glanced at the shopkeeper, who was vomiting beside her. What happened? She asked directly. The Yu family said that Yuanfei stopped them from capturing their fugitive slaves. Yin Feng frowned and looked up at Shining. In a low voice he said, Now Yuanfei see you, and Yu Hong are all inside. This concerns your sect, so I informed Sect Master Yi. We will only know the specifics after we go in. With that said, he did not bother to explain further. He turned and walked in quickly. Shining followed behind him. Great Immortal Shun. Xian Yuanyu stepped forward and called out to her. Yes. Shining turned around. He smiled awkwardly and said, Well, the Yu family master has always been impulsive. He does not know Great Immortal's capabilities. He might offend you if he goes in. I hope Great Immortal can be more understanding. He had rushed over after hearing that Yin Feng had informed her. He was afraid that something would happen. After all, the Yu family was one of the 4 big families. Remembering the lesson his family had been taught, he pleaded for the Yu family. Shining tilted her head. Are they that insensible? Yes. Xian Yuanyu admitted. So, could Great Immortal please, try not to get physical? Shining hesitated for a moment and nodded. All right. I promise you that no matter what happens, I will reason with them first. Thank you, Great Immortal. Thank you, Great Immortal. Xian Yuanyu heaved a sigh of relief. Perhaps because the family masters of the Yin family and the Xian Yuan family were here. The 3 of them did not encounter any obstacles. They walked all the way to the front hall. You're spouting nonsense. From afar, he could hear Sister Siyu's exhausted rebuttal. You still dare to quibble at this point. A soul formation suppressive voice came from the front. Yin Yuanfei and Siyu, who were standing not far from the door, were about to be forced to their knees. Yin Feng panicked and rushed in to support the 2 of them. He looked at his son anxiously, then looked at the person at the head of the table angrily. Family Master Yu, what is the meaning of this? Brother Yin is here. The Yu family smiled and immediately retracted his suppressive aura. He scanned the 3 of them and paused. Why is Brother Xian Yuanyu here as well? Sect Master. Seeing Shining, Siyu pushed Yin Yuanfei away and hurried forward. She tugged at Shen Ying's sleeves with an aggrieved expression. Senior Sister Hong, they captured Big Sister Hong. Shen Ying frowned. She patted Siyu's head and pulled Siyu behind her. Then, she scanned the people in the hall and asked in a low voice, "What happened?" Xian Yuanyu trembled. Fortunately, he had told her in advance. He turned and saw a few people sitting in the hall. Yu Haiheng was sitting at the head of the table. Below him sat 5 cultivators of different ages. They were all traveling immortals of the Yu family. The Yu family master, Yu Haiheng, did not reply to Shen Ying. It was as if he did not care about her at all. Instead, Yin Feng glared at the person at the head of the table angrily. Shouldn't the Yu family master give us an explanation? How did the Yin family offend the Yu family? Why did you kidnap my son and bring him here? Family master Yin, you misunderstand. Yu Haiheng smiled, not looking the least bit guilty. We are not targeting the Yin family. It's just that your son insisted on protecting this escaped slave. We had no choice but to invite him here. Nonsense. Who is the escaped slave of the Yu family? Before Yin Feng could speak, Yin Yuanfei stepped forward and said, "Who doesn't know that Siyu is the champion of the Golden Core tournament? When did she become the escaped slave of the Yu family?" Chapter 77. I just found out too. They are the slaves from the Yu family, who went missing a year ago. Yu Haiheng looked at Siyu, who was standing behind Shen Ying maliciously. She and that girl called Yu Hong used to be the nascent soul-perfected Zhenxiang's human cauldrons. Human cauldrons? Everyone turned to look at Siyu in shock. A year ago, perfected Zhenxiang suddenly went missing. Not even his body could be found, Yu Haiheng continued. Yu Haiyan continued. After his death, the 9 human cauldrons under him also disappeared without a trace. According to the last person who saw Zhenxiang, he went to catch the traitor who stole the artifact because it was stolen. That's why he never returned. He must have been killed by the 9 people. As the family head, I have to seek justice for my people. Zhenxiang colluded with fiendish cultivators to silence us, Siyu retorted loudly. So you admit that you are a slave of the Yu family? Yu Haiheng laughed coldly. You, he turned to look at Shen Ying and said sarcastically. What a coincidence. There are only 9 human cauldrons in the Yu family. Your invincible sect also sent 9 disciples to participate in the sect competition. Sect master. Don't you think you should give the Yu family an explanation? Shen Ying's eyes turned cold and her expression darkened. Don't talk nonsense, family head Yu. Xian Yuanyu's heart trembled. He quickly stepped forward and shouted. You said that all the human cauldrons from the Yu family were human cauldrons. But look at Lady Siyu. She is the top golden core cultivator. Everyone knows what a human cauldron is like. How could she have won the competition? You must have made a mistake. That's right, that's right. Yin Yuanfei reacted and retorted. And Lady Siyu is a body cultivator. I've never heard of any body cultivators in the Yu family. What do you mean by that? Yu Haiheng was getting angry. He seemed to be unhappy that they were helping him. Do you think I, the dignified family head of the Yu family, would make a mistake like this? What's more, she just admitted it herself. Family head Yu, it's better to investigate. Seeing Shen Ying's darkening expression, Xian Yuan tried to persuade Yu Haiheng. What's more, she's a golden core cultivator. How can she defeat a nascent soul-perfected one? Actually, the 3 families present all knew that the Yu family's objective wasn't to capture any fugitive slaves. It was just that the invincible sect had suddenly appeared and was so powerful that the Yu family and the other aristocratic families were tempted. There were only so many resources in the Upper Azure world. To the aristocratic families, there were only 2 ways to deal with this new force, befriend or suppress. It was obvious that the Yu family and Xianyuan family were trying to befriend each other. The Yu family, on the other hand, had lost the initiative, so they had chosen another option. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that this small sect had yet to become a marquee, to completely suppress it to eliminate future troubles, and ensure the unique status of the aristocratic family. Now that they had this weakness, they naturally wanted to crush invincible sect to death. If it was in the past, everyone would have a tacit understanding about this kind of thing. Perhaps they would even push him from behind. But the sect master of Invincible Sect was a great immortal. Be the great immortal Shun, who single-handedly beat up 5 traveling immortals the moment she came to the Upper Azure world, and almost destroyed the Xian Yuan family in one day. No one even knew how terrifyingly powerful she was. Until now, he couldn't even muster up any thoughts of resisting. If Yu Haiheng thought that such a person was easy to bully, then the Yu family was really too pitiful. Who knows what methods they used. The Yu family was still unwilling to let the matter rest. He glanced at Yu and said, "Don't forget that Jin Xiang said he lost his Dharma treasure. She suddenly became a body cultivator. Isn't that proof? What's more, the senior sister she mentioned has the surname Yu. I've already done a blood test. She is indeed a collateral descendant of the Yu family, and one of the missing fugitive slaves. Jin Xiang's death, even if they weren't the culprit, but I did it." Shining finally couldn't take it anymore. She raised her hand and said, "That scum. I was the one who beat him up." Everyone was shocked and turned their heads to look at her. The Yu family even sneered. Xian Yuanyu was stunned. Why did the great immortal admit it herself? Were they going to start a fight? "Great immortal, you did a good job." Xian Yuanyu changed the topic and continued to put out the fire. He said seriously, "That perfected Jin Xiang is definitely not a good person. That's why you had to do it yourself. Yu Haiheng. Is this Xian Yuanyu crazy? That scum forced people to become human cauldrons, used them to test his medicine, and even used living people to refine pills. He is indeed not a good person," Shining said honestly. "What, refining pills using living people?" Yin Feng was shocked. That was something only fiendish cultivators would do. "Nonsense," Yu Haiheng said anxiously. As if he hadn't expected her to say such things, he retorted. "Jin Xiang is famous for being an easygoing person in the collateral family. Who would believe that he would do such a thing?" "I believe him." Xian Yuanyu immediately raised his hand. Yu Haiheng's chest tightened again. "I believe that the great sect master, he is not the kind of person to accuse others. Since she has already done it, it must be Jin Xiang who made a huge mistake." Xian Yuanyu. Yu Haiheng was furious. He didn't understand why Xian Yuanyu would rather offend the Yu family than help Invincible Sect. "Patriarch Yu, this is a misunderstanding. Quickly release the Invincible Sect disciples. I'm trying to save you, brother." Yu Haiheng didn't understand the hint in his eyes at all. He snorted and turned to look at Yin Feng. "Patriarch Yin, do you also think that Jin Xiang deserved his death?" Yin Feng looked back and forth between Xian Yuanyu and Yu Haiheng. Wasn't this a matter between the Yu family and Invincible Sect? Why were the two of them fighting over it first? He hesitated for a moment, not knowing which side to take. Finally, he looked at his son, who was full of anticipation and sighed. "I also believe in Sect Master Yi's character. If someone from the Yu family really did such an evil thing, I think Patriarch, you would have to thank Sect Master Yi for helping you clean up the mess." Yu Haiheng was clearly unhappy with this outcome. He had wanted to suppress Invincible Sect, but he didn't expect that not only would he not get any benefits, he would also have to drag out a bunch of scandals that would embarrass the Yu family. Even so, they are still escaped slaves of the Yu family. Patriarch Yu's words are not right. Xian Yuanyu took the opportunity to say, "If Jin Xiang really did such an evil thing, he can no longer be considered a righteous sect. Naturally, he can no longer be a member of the Yu family. Then the human cauldrons under him are no longer slaves of the Yu family. Where did the escaped slaves come from? This matter has not been concluded. Just one side of the story is not enough to prove it." Yu Haiheng still didn't give up. "Now we don't even know where Jin Xiang's body is. How can we prove that he really practiced demonic arts?" "He's in Upper Azure Town," Shining said. "That person should still be underground. Go and dig, you'll be able to find him." After some thought, she added, We might have to dig a little deeper." Underground. Xian Yuanyu shuddered as he recalled certain scenes. Suddenly, he didn't want to ask what exactly happened in Upper Azure Town. Yu Haiheng's expression completely darkened. There was nothing more to argue about. The Yu family had also received some news about Jin Xiang. They were just finding an excuse to suppress Invincible Sect. But if they really found Jin Xiang's body, The nascent soul's body would not decompose. Everything would be clear once they checked his meridians. Since we haven't found out the truth, let's stop here. Yinfeng stepped forward and said, Patriarch Yu, please let go of the 2 disciples of Invincible Sect. That's right, Patriarch Yu. Hurry up and let them go. Xian Yuanyu urged. Siyu was overjoyed. Her previously tense nerves finally relaxed, and she looked at Shenning excitedly. All right. Shenning seemed to have thought of something. She turned and looked straight at Yu Haiheng. Slowly, as if enunciating each word, she said, No matter what you find in the future, whether it's little green or little red, I don't care who they were in the past, but in the future they will be sisters of Invincible Sect. You can't just capture them. I don't have a good temper. You have to remember that. What did she mean? A threat? How dare a mere sect master threaten the Yu family? Yu Haiheng was so angry that he was about to stand up. Xian Yuanyu quickly stepped forward and held him back. He nodded at Shenning and chuckled. Of course. This is all a misunderstanding. Let's not take it to heart. Patriarch Yu, please let the other disciple of Invincible Sect be released. Yu Haiheng blinked furiously. This time, Yu Haiheng finally understood what he meant. He snorted unwillingly and suppressed the anger in his heart. He gave a look to a traveling immortal elder beside him. The elder nodded. In a flash, he disappeared from the hall. A moment later, there was a thud and he appeared again. He casually threw the person he was holding onto the ground beside Shenning. It had only been a few hours, but Yu Hong's originally bright red clothes were now covered in dark, dried blood. Her body, hands, and face were covered with deep wounds that revealed her bones. Her originally exquisite hair bun was now a mess. She looked very pathetic. Senior sister. Siyu rushed over and carefully helped the person on the ground. But Yu Hong looked up at Shenning. Her eyes immediately lit up. She called out softly, Sect Master. She opened her mouth, as if trying to smile to reassure Shenning. However, the wound on her face opened up, and a drop of blood slid down the side of her face. Shenning felt as if a string that had been pressing down on her had snapped. Something exploded from within her. He looked up at the head of the table and laughed. Ha! I really don't like to reason. Great immortal don't, but it was too late. In the next instant, Shenning had already appeared behind Yu Haiheng. Xian Yuan's heart sank. It's over. Chapter 78. In less than 5 minutes, Xian Yuanyu and Yinfeng witnessed a luxurious side courtyard, and half of the immortal city turn into ruins. There was not a single intact wall left in the Yu family's side courtyard. The place where the main hall used to be was now a huge crater tens of feet wide. Xian Yuanyu touched his heart. Given the current situation, he suddenly felt a little lucky. When Great Immortal came to the Xian Yuan family that day, she really wanted to have a chat with him. She had no intention of fighting at all. He turned to look at the person who had stopped fighting and was standing alone in the middle. He trembled. Ancestors, please bless me. Shenning dusted off her hands and turned around to walk towards the ruins that were already in a mess. She bent down and pulled out a person who was buried inside. He was barely breathing and no longer looked human. She stepped on him, and there was a faint sound of something cracking under her feet. Then she said in a low voice, Tell me, where's my radish? Yu Haiheng's consciousness had not returned yet. His whole body was in so much pain that he could barely feel anything. He only felt that something was rapidly flowing out of his body. In all his years as a soul formation cultivator, this was the first time he knew that someone could destroy his cultivation with just their fists. When he saw the impatient face in front of him again, fear rose in his heart. Was this really just a cultivator? After a long while, he realized that she was asking him a question. What radish? Who are you? Shenning frowned and became even more impatient. She still spoke in that lazy tone. You made such a big fuss today. Don't tell me that you just wanted to capture a girl from my sect for a day trip. I didn't ask just now, but that doesn't mean I'm stupid. Where's the radish? I don't know any dash. Before he could finish, Shenning exerted force with her foot. With a few cracking sounds, Yu Haiheng spat out a column of blood. This is the last time. Where's the radish? She narrowed her eyes, her killing intent overflowing. Yu Haiheng suddenly felt like his primordial spirit was being torn apart. His vision began to blur. What radish? He didn't take any radish from her at all. Wait, could it be? His heart sank? A moment later, he seemed to think of something and spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. He used all his strength to open the spirit beast bag by his side. As soon as he touched the seal, a green shadow flashed out of the bag. Gee! Radish crawled out and dove into Xin Ying's arms. As if it had been wronged, it cried out quickly and anxiously. G. Xin picked it up and looked at the vegetable that was still chirping. Why did you become like this? Why don't you change back to your human form? Rar, rar, rar. Radish felt even more wronged as it pointed at the person on the ground. The leaves on its head danced quickly and anxiously. Can't change. Gee. The radish nodded. Suddenly, it seemed to have thought of something. It waved one of its leaves in front of her pitifully and let out a series of crying and trembling sounds. G. Xin took a closer look and saw that its originally long, emerald green leaves were broken in the middle. There was still green juice on the leaves. Injured. Gee. Is it painful? Gee. He glanced at the person at his feet. Was he the one who did it? Gigi. He nodded. Her expression, which had just softened, immediately darkened again. She looked down at the person who was still trembling at her feet, and turned to Xian Yuanyu, who had been watching the whole time. Vegetable Patriarch, do you have a knife? Huh? Xian Yuanyu, who was suddenly called out, stiffened. He looked at Yu Haiheng, who was lying on the ground on his last breath. Wasn't this person already crippled? Did he want to be chopped into pieces? Great immortal, he's already like this. It's not good to use a knife, right? Murderous intent filled the air. Xian Yuanyu trembled and immediately straightened his back. He said righteously, Great immortal, do you want a long knife, a short knife, a padao, a large ring-shaped knife, or a zamadeo? With that said, he waved his hand, and a dozen different kinds of knives floated next to her. Everyone. What happened to being brothers? Shening randomly picked one and squatted down to look at the person on the ground. Well, what else do you want? Yu Haiheng's eyes widened as he looked at the knife in her hand in horror. I'm the patriarch of the Yu family. The debt just now belongs to Little Red. You even touched Radish. You have to pay the price. With that said, she reached out to grab his head. He became even more terrified. He seemed to be trying his best to avoid her hand, but he couldn't move even half a step. He could only scream, No, stop. Shut up. It's just shaving his head. Do you have to go this far? He screamed even louder. Just as Shen Ying's knife was about to land on his head, a white light suddenly flashed around him. The figure that was still crying just a moment ago suddenly disappeared. The knife fell to the ground with a thud. Shen Ying was stunned. She got up and looked around. She realized that not only Yu Haiheng, but the 5 Yu family traveling immortals who were lying on the ground had also disappeared. They're gone. What sorcery is this? Xian Yuanyu, who was closest to the knife, was also in a daze. She could actually escape under the great immortal's nose. What was even stranger was that even he did not feel any spirit chi fluctuations. What sorcery was this? Shening frowned and suddenly looked up. After a while, she turned to the 2 girls and said, I'm tired. Let's go home. Yes, Sect Master. The 2 girls replied in unison, and immediately followed behind Shun Ying obediently. Their eyes were so bright that they seemed to be glowing. As expected of their sect master, she was still so mighty and domineering. Oh, intersection. Owen Yuanfei chased after her reluctantly. Miss Siyu. Siyu turned around and replied in a gentle voice, Scram. Don't disturb me from worshipping sect master. Oh. She timidly retreated behind Yin Feng. Yin Feng, who had been in a daze the whole time. Xian Yuanyu, who was experienced. Shening. Why did Little Green's attitude change so quickly? He suddenly wanted to know what exactly she was talking about. By the time Shening brought the 2 girls back to the courtyard, it was already past midnight. I Ching and Lo Moon had also returned. When they heard the news, they wanted to go out to look for her, but they happened to bump into her at the door. Master. I Ching quickly walked up to her. He looked her up and down before heaving a sigh of relief. Thank goodness she was not lost. You came back from the Yu family? What exactly happened? Has it been resolved? Lone Moon asked. Shenning yawned. I'm so sleepy. Ask them. Shenning casually plucked the sleeping radish off her leg and stuffed it into Father Nyo's arms. She turned and lay down on the table. Sigh. I don't understand why bad people always choose to do it at night. It's not good to disturb sleep. Lone Moon reflexively wanted to catch the radish, but found that it seemed to have gotten used to it. In an instant, it slipped out of his arms, shook its leaves, and wrapped itself around his leg. It did not wake up at all. The corner of his mouth twitched. Using his divine perception, he found that the radish's spirit chi had been reduced by a quarter. It seemed to have been forced back to its original form. Chapter 79. What happened? It's the Yu family. Yu Hong stepped forward. Thanks to the elixir that Xian Yu and Yu had given her, her injuries had almost healed on the way back. She told him everything that had happened in the Yu family. In order to protect her, Radish's leaves were shaved off by the Yu family's traveling immortals, causing it to revert to its original form. Because of this, its true form was exposed. Are you saying that the Yu family's patriarch suddenly disappeared? They even brought along those traveling immortal elders. The more Lone Moon listened, the deeper his frown became. Yu Hong nodded. I Ching's expression darkened as well. The Yu family is the oldest of the 4 aristocratic families. Could it be that they really have some secret technique that no one else knows about that allowed them to escape from Master's sight? It didn't run by itself. Shen Ying, who was lying on the table, suddenly interrupted. Someone dragged it away. Pull them away. Lone Moon paused. You mean someone saved them? Who? I don't know. She buried herself again. The man didn't come out. Everyone's expression darkened. It seemed that the Yu family had many trump cards. Lone Moon scanned the disciples in the house and said in a low voice, Everyone go and pack up tonight. We will return to Invincible Sect tomorrow. It had to be said that Shen Ying's outburst tonight was a little too much. Not only did he cripple the cultivation of 5 traveling immortals, he even crippled the Yu family's family head. To the aristocratic families, this was not just a serious injury, but a comminuted fracture. If word of this got out, there would only be 3 aristocratic families left in the Upper Azure world. Although he didn't know who the person who saved him was, there must be a backup plan. After all, Yu Hong and the rest had low cultivation levels, and Tian City was someone else's territory. It was safer to return to the demon realm. Wait a minute. I seem to have forgotten something. Sai, forget it, it's not important. The unimportant soul-chasing tower people who were beaten up. What the F***CK? 3 days later. Hey, did you hear? The Yu family's traveling immortals were crippled by the Invincible Sect's sect master. And even the family master is missing. What kind of family clan is it without traveling immortals? I think the Yu family is going to be in chaos. There will be one less aristocratic family in the future. Isn't that right? What is the background of this invincible sect? How can they fight against the Yu family? I heard that it's a great secluded immortal sect. No one knows the exact location of their sect, but their disciples are either sword cultivators or body cultivators. So powerful. Why would the Yu family provoke such a sect? I heard that it's because family head Yu captured 2 disciples of Invincible Sect and severely injured them. The patriarchs of the Yin family and the Xianyuan family tried to persuade them, but they refused to let them go. See, the sect master got angry and destroyed the Yu family? This sect leader is so powerful? I wonder who he is. I heard that the sect leader's surname is Yi, and his given name is a single character, Qing. Have you heard about what happened to the Xianyuan family a year ago? It was done by sect master Yi and Elder Lone Moon. Oh, it's him. Shening. I Qing. Lone Moon. Who told you to change other people's names? In just 3 days, Invincible Sect's name had spread throughout the entire Upper Azure world. The Invincible Sect, which had been forced to become a secluded immortal sect, had suddenly become a first-rate immortal sect. It was even more powerful than the other immortal sects, and was on the same level as the aristocratic families. News of the mysterious sect master I Ching destroying the Yu family in one night spread throughout the entire Upper Azure world. Lone Moon had also become familiar with the various sects because he had gone out to do business for the past few days. Whenever people talked about Invincible Sect, they would mention this soul formation supremacy, who was better at doing business than the Yin family. Even the 9 girls who had participated in the competition had become the brightest stars among the younger generation of cultivators, because Siyu had become the champion. But there was no Shining. Not a single word, not a single stroke, not a single punctuation mark. Straight face. No one knew who Shining was. Even the Yin family's band card that had been on display for a year had been removed. She did not even have the chance to become famous for eating and dashing. This time, she had lifted a rock and dropped it on her own foot. It hurt a little. After this incident, the Yu family was completely holed up. Although they had a strong foundation and would not collapse just like that, without the support of the traveling immortals, their influence in the Upper Azure world was not as great as before. Lone Moon had originally thought that with the status of an aristocratic family, the Yu family would at least make a scene or stir up public opinion to threaten them. He did not expect them to admit defeat so thoroughly. As for what happened that night, the Yin family and the Xin Yuan family did not come forward to clarify things, nor did they take sides. But in reality, they were already siding with Invincible Sect. That was why the outside world made the Invincible Sect into a hidden immortal sect. After that night, Yu Haihing did not appear again. Even the Yu family only said that he had gone missing. When he thought of the person who saved them, he could not help but worry. He had a strange premonition that the Yu family would not be as cowardly as the Xin Yuan family. Perhaps they were secretly preparing a big move or something. It would not be long before they came knocking on their door. But he did not expect that before the Yu family came knocking on their door, an unexpected person would appear. Reporting to the 2 elders, the rabbit demon at the foot of the mountain said that he found a spy who wanted to break into Invincible Sect. Yu Hong reported. Spy? Lone Moon was stunned. Could it be someone from the Yu family? He glanced at I Ching and instructed Yu Hong to keep the disciples from going down the mountain. Then he flew out with I Ching. From afar, they saw a group of 8th level and 9th level demons surrounding the array at the entrance of the mountain. They were shouting and fighting with a man dressed in black. The scene was very tense. What happened? I Ching and Lone Moon flew down and looked at the man. Their divine perception swept over immediately, but it seemed to touch a layer of fog. They could not find out the man's cultivation level at all. This man did not look simple. The 2 nobles are here. A rabbit demon stepped forward and said, A little demon informed us that this man appeared sneakily at the entrance of the mountain. We blocked him. He nodded. I Ching had already stepped forward and said, Who are you? Why did you trespass into Invincible Sect? The cultivator was clearly surrounded by more than 10 high-level demons, but he did not look the least bit afraid. He snorted and said, I am the Tower Master of Soul Chasing Tower, Feng Ying. I came here today to seek justice from Invincible Sect's Sect Master. It has nothing to do with others. Anyone who obstructs me will be killed. Soul Chasing Tower? Why did it sound so familiar? Chef, have you heard of it? Never heard of it. I Ching shook his head. It's okay if you haven't heard of it now. You will remember this name in the future. The man looked confident. This is Tower Master Crazy. Did Shining forget to pay for her meal again? How did our sect master offend you? What the hell was Tower Master Crazy? Shouldn't he be called Tower Mastering? Feng Ying's expression turned cold. He became even angrier. Stop pretending. 3 days ago, wasn't it your sect master I Ching who barged into my soul-chasing tower when I was not around? He even injured more than 100 of my brothers in the name of looking for someone. You are a dignified hidden immortal sect. Don't you dare to admit to hurting people? 3 days ago, soul-chasing tower, looking for someone? In a flash, I Ching and Lone Moon suddenly remembered the same scene. Both of them froze. Holy shit. They finally remembered what kind of place soul-chasing tower was. That night, they were misled by wrong information and destroyed the tower. Both of their faces twitched. What should they do? Their boss actually came looking for them. How on earth did he find this place? B. The person who barged in called himself Sword Cultivator I Ching. I have already found out that I Ching is the sect master of your invincible sect. The more Feng Ying spoke, the angrier he became. He glanced at all the demons present, and then at the two soul formation cultivators. He said with some fear, "Today we are here to seek revenge. It has nothing to do with other people. Please tell me, where is the sect master of invincible sect now?" The corner of I Ching's mouth twitched. Lone Moon, however, was decisive. Without hesitation, he pointed to the mountain on the right. "Over there." "Thank you." Feng Ying's figure flashed and instantly flew in. "I Ching." "All the demons. What are you looking at? You have a share too, okay?" Lone Moon turned back and glared at I Ching. "Besides, she will be fine." "I Ching, I feel like I have betrayed the sect." Chapter 80. Shening was watering radish. Ever since they returned from Tianyuan City, Radish had been hiding in the vegetable field, refusing to come out. Perhaps because of the trauma, its spirit chi had already recovered, and its leaves had already grown back. Yet, it remained in the form of a radish, and refused to change back to its human form. "Radish, why are you always hiding in the hole? Quickly change back to your human form," Shening advised earnestly as she watered it. "Gee, indeed, little Missy still likes my peerless looks. If you don't change back to your human form, there won't be enough people to clean up." Radish felt an arrow shoot through its heart. Shening was about to say a few more words, when she suddenly heard footsteps coming from afar. It's clearly this direction. Why can't I find anyone?" Feng Ying had been following the direction that Lone Moon had pointed. He had also sensed the aura of someone nearby, but he did not see anyone. He became even angrier. He did not think that a dignified sect master would also be such a secretive person. He immediately used his divine perception and said, "System, bring up the map of this place." He did not believe that he would not be able to find them. Ding! Invincible Sect's map has been unlocked. Target found. 100 meters ahead is equivalent to about 330 feet. 330 feet? Feng Ying turned his head and scanned the spirit herb field in front of him 4 or 5 times, but did not find anyone. "Where is she? System, did you see wrongly? You're looking for me?" Shening could not help but ask. "Who?" Feng Ying was shocked. Only then did he realize that standing among the spirit herbs was a dazed woman holding a water bottle. A woman. He was a little surprised. His expression darkened and he said loudly, "You're the sect master of Invincible Sect?" "Yes." Shening nodded honestly. "Who are you?" "Who am I?" He laughed coldly and said sarcastically, "Do you remember the name Soul Chasing Tower?" "I don't remember." Feng Ying stiffened, as if he did not expect her to reply so directly. "Then you'd better remember this name from now on." The more he spoke, the angrier he became. "I'm the Tower Master of Soul Chasing Tower, Feng Ying. I'm here to demand an explanation for what happened 3 days ago." "What? You're still quibbling? You dare to say that the one who barged into Soul Chasing Tower 3 days ago and injured hundreds of my disciples for no reason was not you?" "No, you." He had never seen such a shameless person before. His chest felt stifled, and the more he spoke, the angrier he became. He simply pulled out his sword and pointed it at her, saying, "You've gone too far. Even though my soul-chasing tower is not some aristocratic family or immortal sect, we will not allow anyone to bully us." He activated his spirit chi, and several spirit swords appeared around him. He pointed them at Shening and said, "Don't think that you can do whatever you want in the Upper Azure world, just because you have a high cultivation level. I, Feng Ying, will seek justice today." Immediately after, he sent a voice transmission to the system. "System, help me choose a winning cultivation technique immediately and stimulate all my potential. Today I must teach this invincible sect master a lesson." Feng Ying was not a careless person. Since he dared to go against the Yu family's invincible sect leader, his cultivation was definitely not weak. He had indeed sought out invincible sect in a moment of anger. But since he dared to come alone, he had naturally made ample preparations. However, So what if the opponent was a nascent soul stage cultivator? With the system as his trump card, he would definitely win. Moreover, this was not the first time he faced off against a soul formation stage cultivator. Regarding this, he had absolute confidence. After he finished speaking, he did not worry at all. He raised his sword and rushed toward the other side. As usual, a series of notifications rang in his ears. Ding! The host has stimulated the highest potential. The time limit is 15 minutes, that is 15 minutes. Ding! Scanning the enemy's strength. Starting to match the most suitable cultivation technique in the database. Ding! The enemy's combat strength is 80%, 90%, 100%, 200%, 1000%. Yen percent at yen at yen percent at yen percent yen percent. Ding ding ding. Exceeding statistical value. Serious overflow percent at hashtag yen percent. Transcending plain high-level life form. Discovered Big Boss. Activating emergency response measures. Ding. Emergency mission. Please kneel down in front of Big Boss and express your desire to suck up to her. What? Feng Ying's sword was already less than half a meter away from Shining. Suddenly, he felt an electric current coursing through his body. His knees weakened, and he fell to the ground. His head hit a pile of stones at the side with a thud. Feng Ying. Shining. This is the first time we're meeting. Is there a need to be so formal? A strange silence fell over the place. System, what the hell are you doing? Feng Ying was roaring in his heart. He directly used his divine perception to send a voice transmission. Why did I suddenly kneel down? Didn't I ask you to stimulate my potential? What's going on? Ding! The opponent is a high-level life form from another plane. She's an existence that transcends this plane. Why do I care what kind of life form she is? I don't understand what you're saying. I just want to help my soul-chasing tower vent our anger and beat him up. Ding! The system's safety treaty states that the host is forbidden from acting impolitely towards an existence that is higher than this plane. In short, courting death. What do you mean? Are you saying that I can't beat her? Ding! In front of a high-level life form, the host is equivalent to trash. Impossible. Don't you have a lot of tools? No matter what, you can't lose. Ding! Hee. Ding! Mandatory mission. Please leave a good impression on Big Boss. Express that the host is pure and harmless. If the mission fails, the punishment mechanism will be activated. What? You're asking me to please her? Impossible. She's the person who destroyed my soul-chasing tower. Ding! Please start the mission in 10 seconds. 9. 8. Aren't you my system? Why are you helping an outsider? 6. 5. 4. Hey, that. Shen Ying's mouth twitched. She could not help but poke the person who had been kneeling on the ground for a long time. She reminded him kindly. Have you guys finished discussing? System. Feng Ying. A while later, you can hear me. Feng Ying took a step back and looked at Shen Ying, as if he had seen a ghost. I don't want to hear anything either. Shen Ying sighed. But, have you guys forgotten about Guangong playback? What the hell was Guangong playback? Ding! System exposed. System exposed. System exposed. Feng Ying was completely stunned. He stared at the person opposite him with his mouth agape for a long time. The system was his biggest trump card. Just like that. She knew. Petrifying. Seeing his face full of despair, Shen Ying could not help but feel sorry for him. That the system in novels doesn't seem to be on Guangong playback? It's okay. How about I pretend that I can't hear you for a while? Sigh. Actually, even if I can't hear you, you went to chat with the system without even greeting me. Don't you think it's a little awkward to kneel and stare at it? When you talked to the system in the past, did you also leave others at the side like this? Pardon me for asking. Do you have any friends? Dong dong dong. There was a faint sound of knives stabbing into his heart. Why did his heart suddenly hurt so much? I have no friends. So what if I have no friends? It's none of your business. Sob sob sob, I really want to cry. Don't cry, hey? Who's crying? Feng Ying flew into a rage out of humiliation and roared back. He wiped his face and realized that his tears were flowing down his face like a torrential river. Ding! Pear Blossom Weeping function is automatically triggered. It will help the host gain the favor of the big boss. Damn you! He directly gave up on the divine perception transmission and roared in despair. System, that's enough. What Pear Blossom Weeping? Quickly take back your tears. Ding! The mandatory mission cannot be cancelled. F*CKU. Whose system are you? But no matter how much he resisted, his tears still flowed down unstoppably. He cried until he started to feel dizzy, but there was no sign of it stopping. He suddenly felt that revenge, venting, and integrity were all rubbish. He stepped forward and hugged Xinying's thigh. Big boss, I was wrong. I shouldn't have overestimated myself and challenged Invincible Sect. I beg you to make this stupid system stop, please? I'll do anything you want me to do. I'm going blind. Hence, when I Ching and Lone Moon arrived, what they saw was the Tower Lord of the Soul-Chasing Tower, who had been saying that he wanted revenge, hugging Xinying's thigh and crying so hard that the heavens shook and the earth cracked. His tears flowed like a river. The two of them. What the hell? Chapter 81. System. Lone Moon was stunned. He scanned the person in front of him from head to toe. This isn't a cultivation world. Why would there be a system? Don't tell me you transmigrated too? Was transmigration something frilly nowadays? Were anything? Transmigration? What do you mean? Feng Ying, who had finally stopped crying, could not help but burp. He frowned and asked, "Looks like it's not." Lone Moon was even more curious. Then what exactly is this system in your body? Humph. Why should I tell you burp? Feng Ying had no intention of cooperating at all. He snorted arrogantly. Unfortunately, the burps that came out from time to time destroyed his original arrogance. This is called a system burp thing. It has already established a soul burp contract with me. You guys are jealous. Before he finished speaking, a series of mechanical sounds that only the two of them could hear rang out in the next second. Ding! Serial number. CIH-12 system at your service. This system was born in the 3584, 65 dimension plane, planet ZC-999, Hung Yuqian Corporation. Due to the sudden interstellar storm, it fell into the plane crack and came to this plane. Hung Yuqian Corporation is dedicated to the development of growth systems. CIH-12 is the 12th system in the series. It can guide and correct the host's inappropriate behavior in all aspects and ensure the safe and healthy growth of the host. Now bound to the host, Feng Ying. Feng Ying. The seller sold it too quickly, didn't he? For all. What did you hear? Lone Moon glanced at Xinying. The system's voice could only be heard by Feng Ying and her. What exactly is that thing? Even I Ching looked over curiously. Air. Xinying thought about it and explained after a while. In short, this is a parenting system. The two of them paused before saying in unison, "Oh." Then they both turned to look at a certain child. How do you know that this is a parenting system? Feng Ying exploded. He was a nascent soul-perfected one. How could he be a parenting system? Do you know that it? Ding! Before he could finish, the system's voice rang out again. Serial number, CIH-12. Main functions include detection, navigation, persuasion, demonstration, and a full set of basic rules and regulations of planet ZC-999. It is applicable to any newly born life form, which is a young host. Feng Ying. Whose system do you belong to? Hey? You can't undermine me like this. Ever since he came to Invincible Sect, his system seemed to have changed owners. What a good system. Xinying complimented. Ding. Task release. Please say thank you to the boss. My heart is so tired. Say it. Xinying pressed him down on the chair, turned around and sat on the seat of honor. She grabbed a pastry and said, "Why did you suddenly run to the back of the mountain and step on my radish field?" She had been watering it for half a day. Although she did not like to eat vegetables, it was still the fruit of her labor. However, he had stepped on half of it. The corner of Feng Ying's mouth twitched. So this was the main point of her kidnapping him? Who cares about your radish fields? The winner takes all. But don't expect me to reveal any information. Ding! Exporting host's data. Shit. Host Feng. Life form from a low-level plane. Local age. 236 years old. Gender male. Mid-stage nascent soul realm. Metal, fire and earth triple spirit root. Low-grade aptitude. Already upgraded to high-grade. Bound to the system at the age of 3. Successfully activated at the age of 39. Skills. Swordsmanship, invisibility, mixed elements spell, etc. Host's major incident reading. 1. 5 years and 3 months old. Secretly kissed the 4-year-old girl next door. Beaten up by the enemy's parents. Not life-threatening. 2. 10 years and 7 months old. Wet the bed at 3 in the morning. Burned the bedsheets and caused a fire. Not life-threatening. 3. 20 years and 8 months. Shut up. Feng shouted anxiously. His face instantly turned red. He had the urge to find a hole and hide in it. For all. Flip's table. Why didn't he know that the system had a recording function? Why was the record from hundreds of years ago still there? People said it was a child-rearing system. Did it really become a child-rearing system? To make it easier for everyone present to understand, Shunning read out loud every time the system said a sentence. In an instant, the gazes of the 3 people gathered on him. Don't tell anyone. For the first time in his life, he had the urge to die. 5 minutes later. Ahem, that. Lomoon coughed. He finally shifted his gaze away from a certain 10-year-old cultivator, who still wet the bed. So, he relied on this system to find invincible sect? Although he had told his business partner, the Een family, the location of invincible sect was located in the demon realm. That was why they agreed to meet in Upper Azure Town. The Een family would not reveal their location. In addition, there were demons everywhere in the demon realm. It would be extremely difficult for him to reach invincible sect safely. He only had nascent soul cultivation. He could only have relied on the system to get here. So what if that's the case? Feng turned his head angrily. He looked like he had nothing to lose. He turned to look at Shunning, who was sitting lazily at the side. He gritted his teeth. What the hell? He really did not expect the system to suddenly make such a problem. Not only could he not vent his anger, but it also gave him strange missions. He had lost all the face he had built up over hundreds of years of cultivation. What did the system mean by Big Boss? You, he could not help but ask. You, what did you do to my system? Why are you the only one who can hear what the system says? And it had to answer every question. Shunning was stunned. She shook her head honestly. I don't know. How could you not know? He jumped up from his chair. Then why is it always helping you? If not for the fact that soul contracts could not be cancelled, he would have suspected that this fellow called the system wanted to change owners. I really don't know. Forget it if you don't want to say. She's not lying to you. Lone Moon sounded like an experienced person. If she says she doesn't know, then she really doesn't know. You'll be fine once you get used to it. Naive. Why bother explaining reasons to a cheat? Just bear with it. Feng obviously did not believe him. He looked at Shunning angrily. I was unlucky to fall into your hands today. Kill me if you want, but I will not let you off for destroying my soul-chasing tower. Soul-chasing tower? Shunning was stunned. She subconsciously turned to look at the 2 people beside her. What does he mean? The 2 of them froze. Lone Moon. This person seems to be fine. Shunning, you interrogate him first. I'll go and check on the disciples' cultivation. I Ching. It's almost noon. Master, I'll go and cook. With that said, the 2 of them disappeared in a whoosh. Shunning. Son of AB *tzh. Why did that person call you Shunning? Feng was stunned. Aren't you the sect master of Invincible Sect, I Ching? Do you have 2 names? The corner of Shenying's mouth twitched. She turned to look at him. Didn't you say that soul-chasing tower knows everything? Why are you asking me? Of course. His face was full of pride. I'm not bragging. As long as I want to, I can even find out what kind of underwear the masters of the 4 aristocratic families wear at night. Oh, then can you find out what kind of underwear they wear today? Chapter 82. Her spirit energy surged. And there was a strange phenomenon. Shening was eating lunch. She had just picked up a piece of meat when suddenly the earth shook. Her hand trembled, and the meat fell to the ground. What a pity! I Ching, who was beside her, calmly picked up another piece and put it in her bowl. What a good chef! Shening was just about to start eating when Lone Moon suddenly rushed in anxiously. Shening, did you see the movement just now? Earthquake? She tilted her head. What the hell? Lone Moon glared at her. Master, there is a lot of spirit chi in the east. I Ching looked to the right and explained in a low voice. It should be the birth of a rare treasure. That's right. And from the looks of it, it's not small. Lone Moon said excitedly. Hurry up and pack up. We're going over now. Prepare for what? Shening looked up. Of course we're going over. Lone Moon answered habitually. When a rare treasure descends, no matter what it is, it will be ownerless. The earlier we get there, the better. Do we need those? Don't we? Do we? Lone Moon was stunned. A moment later, he seemed to have thought of something. Shit. They really didn't need it. Apart from him and I Ching, the rest of the invincible sect were body cultivators. Body cultivators focused on tempering their bodies. Dharma weapons and spirit treasures were of no use to body cultivators. The only thing they could use was a small number of spirit herbs and elixirs, but that was only used when they were about to be beaten to death. And in the whole invincible sect, spirit herbs were the most abundant. There was a mountain of ready-made treasures in front of them, but they couldn't use any of them. This feeling, Lone Moon faintly felt as if a box of cold water had been poured over his head. His excitement disappeared completely. After working in Black Heaven sect for so long, he was used to snatching resources. Suddenly installing a cheat, it was really lonely. I'm hungry too. He directly sat down with the leftover rice in his bowl. His heart was full of unfairness. He glanced at a certain foodie beside him and could not help but say, in the afternoon, you and the disciples in the sect harvest the radish spirit herbs in the back mountain. As he spoke, he took out a note and handed it to her. This is the list. According to the number on it, not a single one can be missing. Pluck radishes? Shening was stunned. Should I ask Rabbit? No. Lone Moon glared at her coldly, interrupting her lazy thoughts. They are demons, they carry demonic chi. This batch of radishes, pooey. These spirit herbs are to be given to the Xian Yuan family to refine pills. They cannot be contaminated by demonic chi. You have to go. So troublesome. Can I not pull it out? Not pulling. His cold eyes swept over. Do you think it's that easy to maintain the normal operations of a sect? If we don't pluck carrots, how are we going to get spirit stones? Are we spending a lot? She didn't like shopping. You still have the cheek to say that. Isn't it all your fault? Look at the entire Upper Azure world. Know which immortal sect in the entire Azure world is like us. 80% of the sect's expenses are spent on food. If they don't earn money, are they planning to just sit around and eat? The point is, if you're the only one eating, that's fine. He glanced around, and then stared at his fangirls on both sides. But what the hell are you doing eating with your entire sect? You're a sect master after all. Don't you know that eating is useless for their cultivation? We're all on the same side. It's not good for me to eat alone, right? She looked up at the rice bowl in his hand. Don't you eat every day too? All right, I won't argue with you about this. He took a deep breath and turned to point at Fengming on the right. What's up with this fellow? Why is he still here? And he was holding his usual rice bowl. He's a guest. Guess my ass. Wasn't he the tower master of Soul Chasing Tower? Go back to your Soul Chasing Tower. Why was he here freeloading for food? Didn't food cost spirit stones? What right did he have to occupy his seat and eat his portion? Humph. Fengming snorted, completely ignoring Lone Moon's dissatisfaction. Do you think I'm willing to stay in your lousy sect? Haha. Put down your bowl if you're unwilling. You still haven't given me an explanation about my soul-chasing tower? Fengming slammed the table and stood up. He said righteously, Elder Lone Moon, I spent half my life building soul-chasing tower. You destroyed it just like that. Now that things have come to a head, all you have to do is say that you found the wrong person to save someone. Anyway, I don't care. Either you compensate me for my soul-chasing tower, or you kill me now. Otherwise, I won't leave. You're in the right to steal my rice bowl. The anger in Lomun's eyes was about to spit out, but he turned cold in an instant. He was so calm that it was strange. Suddenly, he lifted the corner of his mouth and smiled slowly at Feng Ying. Like a spring breeze, Shening and I Ching both trembled. Father Niu only smiled so scary when he was tricking people. Tower mastering is right. This matter is indeed our mistake. We should give you an explanation. His smile became more and more amiable. He was in his professional mode. At least you know what's good for you. Don't worry, Tower Master. Leave the rebuilding of soul-chasing tower to Invincible Sect, he said confidently. My Invincible Sect is recognized by all the other sects as a great hidden immortal sect. We can still afford this amount of spirit stones. Not only that, we will compensate you with some supreme-grade spirit stones. What do you think? Really? Feng Ying's eyes brightened. He looked at him suspiciously. You're not lying to me, are you? You won't regret it. Why would I, Niu? I, Lone Moon, am also an elder of a sect. I will do what I say. He smiled until his eyes became slits. He stepped forward and patted Feng Ying's shoulder. With a sincere expression, he said, To be honest, I have long heard of Soul-Chasing Tower's reputation. Tower Master, you can build an information network that is bigger than the aristocratic families in just 100 years. I really admire you. Of course. Speaking of his profession, Feng Ying's face was full of pride. You don't even know how much effort I put into this. I'm not bragging, but Soul-Chasing Tower is not inferior to first-rate immortal sections. Of course. Lone Moon nodded repeatedly. But unfortunately, although Soul-Chasing Tower knows everything about the Upper Azure World, it still lacks information about the Middle Azure World and the Lower Azure World. It can't be said to be perfect. Tower Master, why don't you just fill in this missing piece? By then, Soul-Chasing Tower will not only be a first-rate immortal sect, but it can even surpass the aristocratic families. Feng Ying frowned. I have thought of this before, but people who are not at the soul formation stage cannot travel freely between the 3 Azure worlds. I am in the Upper Azure World, so naturally I can't get the news of the other 2 realms immediately. I have a way to help Soul-Chasing Tower solve this problem. Really? Feng Ying was shocked. He took 2 quick steps forward. Supremacy, Lone Moon, is what you said true? Of course. You forgot that although people cannot travel freely between the 3 realms, they can in the demon realm. I have an absolutely feasible idea, he said with a serious expression. If Tower Master agrees, I can help you achieve this wish. Of course I agreed to such a good thing. Feng Ying looked excited. Then he looked at him worriedly. What request do you have? Those who come are guests. Talking about requests will hurt feelings. Tower Master seems to be a straightforward person. Why don't we take this opportunity to rebuild your tower and treat the spirit stones used to build it as an official investment from Invincible Sect? What is an investment? This question is more complicated to explain. How about this? Come with me to the study. I'll come up with a plan for you while I explain. How about that? All right, let's go. Tower Master, please. With that said, the 2 of them walked out of the rear hall excitedly, I Ching the onlooker. Master, how much of Soul-Chasing Tower do you think he will lose? Shening. That depends on how angry Father Niu is just now. If they want to take money out of Father Niu's pocket, someone has to tell him that father is your father. Light the candle. Chapter 83. Father Niu had gone far away. The agreed delivery date with the Yin family had arrived. Because he still had to go to the Xian Yuan family to refine the pills, he would be gone for at least half a month. Invincible Sect lost a housekeeper, and Shening completely let herself go. She strongly requested to increase the number of dishes from 6 to 8. She had just decided to discuss with Chef about the issue of employment for supper and afternoon tea. Yu Hong suddenly rushed in and handed over a white paper crane. Sect Master, I just found this in the front hall. What's this? Shening took it curiously. The paper crane suddenly flapped its wings and flew towards I Ching, circling around him. It's a messenger paper crane. It looks like it's for me. I Ching reached out, and the paper crane landed in his hand. He looked at it carefully. The pattern on this crane should be from Clearheart sect. He conjured a seal, and the paper crane instantly turned into a white light. It formed a palm-sized battle character in the air, with a faint murderous intent. "It's a battle invitation," Yu Hong exclaimed. The next moment a male voice sounded. "I heard that Sect Master I Ching of Invincible Sect has outstanding immortal techniques, and fought against the Yu family patriarch. Fei Yeshu of Clearheart Sect admires you and sincerely invites you to a battle. In the vast immortal path, the strong are respected. Do you dare to accept my challenge?" The moment he finished speaking, the white light formed another small line of words, which wrote the location and time. Shening. I Ching. Yu Hong. So was she challenging the sect master or I Ching? "Master, I'll go." I Ching's expression darkened. He stepped forward and said, "The place of challenge is only a day's journey away. I am confident that I can win." But Master was the one who defeated the Yu family that day. We can't let the other sects continue to misunderstand. We can take this opportunity to clarify things with everyone. That's not what I meant. I know Master is worried about me, but if I don't accept the challenge, the other sects will look down on our invincible sect. No. That I mean. Master, please speak. Can you make dinner before you go? Late at night. Is anyone there? Is anyone there? 2 rabbit demons walked into Invincible Sect's mountain gate, trembling with fear, and called out softly in a hoarse voice. A moment later, a red and a green figure appeared at the door. Yu Hong looked at the 2 8th-level rabbit demons in confusion. She cupped her fists and said, "Brothers Rabbit, may I know why you've come so late at night?" "Hello, Miss Hong." Rabbit on the left scratched his ear and said, "It's like this. Well, the 2 of us passed by the entrance to the demon realm, and saw a cultivator barging into the demon realm. We wanted to chase him out, but he said he knew Miss Siyu, so we brought him over." "You know me?" Siyu paused and looked at Yu Hong in confusion. "Who are you?" The 2 rabbits quickly turned to the side, and Siyu saw that there was a person lying behind them. He seemed to be seriously injured. His body was covered in blood, and his breathing was very weak. If one did not look closely, they would not have noticed. She walked closer to take a look, and her eyes instantly widened. "In Yuanfei, how did he get hurt like this?" Yu Hong was shocked as well. She immediately squatted down to check his meridians, only to find that his golden core was showing signs of shattering. That was why he was unconscious. "That we didn't do it," the 2 rabbits hurriedly explained. "We are good rabbits. He was already like this when we found him." Yu Hong nodded. She could naturally tell that Yin Yuanfei's injuries were caused by spirit energy. The person who injured him must have been a cultivator. She quickly instructed Siyu, "Junior sister, use your spirit chi to protect his heart meridians. I'll go to the back of the mountain to pick some spirit weaving grass." "All right." Siyu nodded and immediately helped the person up. She nodded at the 2 rabbit demons and said, "Thank you, both of you. It's my duty, my duty." The 2 rabbits' ears twitched, and they quickly turned to leave. They only heaved a sigh of relief when they were far away. Fortunately, they did not meet the great immortal. Siyu immediately sat down cross-legged, and used her spirit chi to protect his heart meridians. A moment later, Yu Hong returned with the spirit weaving grass. The 2 of them fed it to him. Only then did his cracked golden core begin to slowly repair itself. In less than a minute, his eyes moved and he woke up. "Siyu." A look of joy appeared on his face. Suddenly he thought of something. "This is Invincible Sect? Siyu, quick, bring me to see the great immortal. Bring me to see her quickly." "Sect Master?" Siyu paused. "Why do you want to see the Sect Master? Why are you covered in injuries?" "My father, the patriarchs of the Yin family, the Yi family, and the Xian Yuan family, as well as the traveling immortal grand-uncles, are all trapped in the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. Only the great immortal can save them." Yin Yuanfei looked anxious. "What Immortal Ascension Pagoda?" Yu Hong and Siyu were confused. "Who in the Upper Azure world has the ability to trap the patriarchs of the 3 aristocratic families and the traveling immortals at the same time?" It's the Yu family. Before he could finish speaking, a man's voice sounded. The array in front of them suddenly lit up. A moment later, more than 10 figures appeared in front of them. Yu Haiheng! Yu Hong exclaimed. She took a step back and looked at the man in the center of the array in disbelief. Yu Haiheng laughed coldly. I didn't think that you two lowly human cauldrons would recognize me. Yu Hong and Siyu's hearts sank. They looked at the man in front of them warily. Why are you here? Then we have to thank young Master Yin. He smiled lightly and turned to look at the dying Yin Yuanfei. Without him to lead the way, we would not have been able to enter this vast demon realm. Yin Yuanfei's face turned pale. You cast a soul-binding curse on me. With that, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His golden core, which had just recovered, cracked open again and he fainted. Siyu hurriedly steadied his pulse. The soul-binding curse was a curse that was cast directly on a person's soul. No matter where the person was, once the curse was activated, the person who cast the curse would instantly appear next to the person. However, this curse was extremely harmful to the person who was cast it. Your invincible sect master destroyed my Yu family and destroyed 1,000 years of my cultivation. Yu Haiheng's eyes were bloodshot and filled with malevolence. Suddenly, he thought of something and took a deep breath. If not for the protection of our ancestors, my Yu family would really have fallen. This is a blood feud. If I don't kill your entire family, I won't be able to vent my hatred. With that, his eyes turned cold. He seemed to have exhausted his patience. With a wave of his hand, 2 soul formation cultivators rushed out from behind him. A sea of fire rushed towards the 2 of them. Siyu mobilized all the spirit chi in her body. Her muscles exploded and her body grew larger. With a punch, she broke through the surrounding sea of fire. Turning to Yu Hong, she said, Senior sister, take him away first. Yu Hong nodded. She supported Yin Yuanfei and retreated. None of you can escape. Yu Haiheng snorted coldly. He turned to the other cultivators behind him and said, Kill them. In an instant, more than 10 soul formation cultivators rushed out. A beam of sword chi slashed towards Siyu, forcing her to retreat several feet. The sky full of Dharma artifacts was about to land on the 3 of them. Suddenly, the array beneath their feet lit up. A defensive Dharma array formed and blocked all the attacks. You 2 young ladies, why did you come out? Before Feng Ying could finish speaking, he looked in front of him and was stunned. Hey you family master. Didn't he go missing? Ding! Intruders discovered. Number of people 15. Cultivation level, soul formation. Feng Ying was shocked. 15 soul formation cultivators. Was this Yu family master planning to massacre the entire invincible sect? Soul chasing tower master. Forget it, you're unlucky. Yu Haiheng's tone changed. He looked at the surrounding soul formation cultivators and said, Leave no one alive. Damn you. Feng Ying cursed under his breath. He hurriedly contacted his divine perception. System, activate potential. Ding. Potential activation successful. He hurriedly conjured a seal with both hands. Suddenly, a water shadow flashed before his eyes, and a high-level soul confusion array formed. The menacing soul formation cultivators pounced on empty air. The few of them disappeared. Let's go. The soul confusion array won't hold them for long. Feng Ying looked at the people in front of him, who were attacking randomly. He turned and picked up the 3 of them, and flew towards the top of the mountain. The commotion at the bottom of the mountain woke the other 6 people up. They all ran out to check. Senior sister, what happened? They surrounded Yu Hong and the others who had just flown back. Yu family master brought more than 10 soul formation cultivators here. Feng Ying explained. He turned and walked towards the side hall. I'll go get Xining. As soon as he said that, the faces of the girls, who had been looking worried just a moment ago, changed. They suddenly stood in front of him and said in unison, No. Why? Feng Ying looked confused. We can't defeat those soul formation cultivators. Isn't she very strong? It's late now. She must be asleep. We can't disturb sect master's sleep. You still care about this now? Feng Ying felt that these people were crazy. This is the sect rule. They looked determined. The first rule of invincible sect. No one is allowed to disturb sect master's sleep. Anyone who disobeys will bear the consequences. What bullsh asterisk T sect rule? Elder I Ching said that no one is allowed to violate this rule under any circumstances. Even if the sky falls. I'm not a member of your invincible sect. Get out of my way. Feng Ying was a little irritated. No means no. You. Ding. Random mission. Host, please protect Big Boss's sect alone. Damn. Chapter 84. Feng Ying felt that ever since he came to Invincible Sect, the system must have gone mad. What did it mean to guard the sect alone? If he had that ability, would he have needed to set up the soul confusion array just now? He could deal with 1 or 2 soul formation cultivators, but 15 soul formation cultivators. This was not guarding, this was asking for death. No way. What right did he have to go? The enemy was right in front of them, and Shening, the sect master, was sleeping. How could he, a person who came to collect a debt, help them? He refused to accept this mission. Refused. No matter what, he had to wake them up. He was about to ignore the crowd and force his way into the side hall to call for help. But it was too late. There was a rumbling sound from the foot of the mountain. The next moment, Yu Haiheng led the group of soul formation cultivators to the square in front of them. The legendary soul-chasing tower master is indeed capable. Yu Haiheng laughed coldly and stepped forward. You can set up the soul confusion array with just your nascent soul cultivation. It's a pity that this array can only trap us for a while, but not forever. You can't escape death in the end. Yu Haiheng. Yu Hong glared at him and said in a low voice, "How dare you barge into my invincible sect? Aren't you afraid that our sect master will beat you up again?" Ha 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 ha. He suddenly laughed. Do you really think I'm a fool? He calmly brushed the sword in his hand and said, I Ching, that demoness, has already been lured out by the battle invitation I sent out. Even that person called Lone Moon is probably locked in the Immortal Ascension Pagoda with the others. Since we dared to barge in, we naturally made sufficient preparations. Feng Ying's face paled, and he turned to look at the crowd in surprise. Was Shunning really not here? Was that why they didn't let him in to call for help? Who said our sect master is not here? Yu Hong also looked confused. The one who accepted the challenge was Elder I Ching. What did it have to do with the sect master? You don't have to bluff. Yu Haiheng seemed to have exhausted his patience. He waved at the crowd behind him and said, She's not here now. Even if she finds out about this in the future, as long as she dares to come to the Yu family for revenge, she will still be trapped in the pagoda. Today, none of you can escape. After that, a dozen or so soul formation cultivators immediately swarmed forward, and all kinds of spells covered the sky and covered the earth. Retreat! Feng Ying shouted, and set up a defensive formation at the last minute. He gritted his teeth and charged forward. He braced himself and faced 7 or 8 soul formation cultivators. Yu Hong and Siyu rushed in as well. There were simply too many people on the other side. Even if it was a one-on-one battle, they wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Some of the Foundation establishment disciples, in particular, collapsed to the ground after being swept by the other party's aura. In the end, only Yu Hong and Siyu managed to hold on. Feng Ying had almost used up all of the system's potential and forcibly raised his cultivation level to the late stage of soul formation. He had used all the help that the system could give him, but he could only hold back 7 or 8 people. At the same time, he had to take care of Yu Hong and Siyu. He would not be able to hold on for long. Sure enough, in less than a quarter of an hour, a cultivator summoned a sky full of swords and stabbed them down. Seeing that the people behind him could not withstand a single blow, he had no choice but to retreat. He shouted to Yu Hong and Siyu, "Get back into the array." Unfortunately, it was too late. The two of them could not even make it back in time. Siyu's body had been through the Golden Core lightning tribulation, so she was fine. With a sweep of her fist, she deflected the sword rain that was shooting towards her. Yu Hong, on the other hand, did not have it so easy. One by one, the spirit swords cut countless wounds on her body. Blood flowed like a fountain. Senior sister. Fortunately, Siyu reacted quickly. She turned and ran to her side, deflecting a few fatal swords. Yu Haiheng, who had been watching the battle, frowned. His expression darkened. Suddenly, he conjured a seal with both hands. In an instant, white wind blades attacked the two of them. They were even denser than the sword rain from before. Be careful! The sword in Feng Ying's hand flew out and circled around the two of them, deflecting the wind blades in time. You've recovered your cultivation level. Yu Hong looked at Yu Haiheng in disbelief. His cultivation level had clearly been destroyed by the sect master that day. How was this possible? That's right. Yu Haiheng smiled proudly. My Yu family has the protection of our ancestors. What's a small matter like recovering my cultivation level? You'd better surrender obediently. Maybe I'll leave your corpses intact. Don't even think about it. Yu Hong gripped the sword in her hand tightly. Invincible sect would only fight to the death, not surrender. You overestimate yourself. Yu Haiheng did not hold back anymore. He joined the battle. Unlike the other soul formation cultivators who were charging towards Feng Ying, his wind blades were all aimed at Yu and Yu Hong, as if he wanted to kill them. Feng Ying was furious and anxious. However, he had to deal with the soul formation cultivator and protect the younger ones behind him. He could not leave at all. System, help me. Is there anything else that can stimulate one's potential? If this goes on, we won't be able to win. Ding. Countdown to stimulating one's potential. 5 minutes. Flips the table. For all. For all. Why was there still a countdown in such a situation? Did it include the time taken to escape just now? Did it have to be like this? Yu Haiheng's wind blades were already right in front of the two of them. Yu had no choice but to take it head on. She punched out at the wind blades, but there were bound to be some that missed. Even though her body had been tempered with heavenly lightning, she could not block the wind blades formed from spirit qi. Every now and then flesh and blood flew. Yu Haiheng's smile became even more sinister, as if he was playing with them. Suddenly, he summoned a wind blade as tall as a human and attacked the two of them. Yu was shocked. She could not take it head on. She could only use all the spirit qi in her body to punch the wind blade. However, it only managed to cause the wind blade to deviate slightly. The wind blade brushed past the two of them and flew to the left. Seeing that it was about to hit the side of the palace, Yu's face turned pale. Suddenly, she chased after it and punched the wind blade again. This time, the wind blade changed direction and hit the door pillar of the main hall. Yu Haiheng, who was about to summon the next wind blade, frowned as if he had discovered something. He swept his gaze over everyone present and suddenly revealed a strange smile. All of you are gathered in the front hall and purposely didn't go to the side hall on the left. Could it be that there's something important hidden there? Seeing that everyone's faces had turned pale, Yu Haiheng was even more certain of his guess. Before anyone could react, he suddenly turned his hand. Unlike the wind blades that were just playing around, a huge wind dragon appeared in an instant. The wind blades that filled the sky immediately whistled towards the side hall. No! The 9 girls cried out in alarm. But it was too late. In an instant, the grass and trees were sent flying, and the exquisite palace hall began to collapse. The entire side hall seemed to have been cut in half from the middle. With a loud rumble, a large part of it collapsed, and there was a huge roar. The ground was filled with broken fences and broken walls, and a cloud of dust flew up. Yu Haiheng thought that the other disciples of Invincible Sect were hiding inside. But when he looked inside, he did not see anyone. So he sent out a few more wind blades and said, I want to see what exactly is hidden in this side hall. Let me. Before he could finish speaking, a low voice suddenly sounded behind him. It was as if a storm was brewing. Chapter 85. Yu Haiheng felt a chill run down his spine. That familiar tone seemed to have come from hell. He did not even dare to move. There was nothing there, but he felt as if something was pressing down on him. He forgot how to breathe for a moment. After a while, he turned his head stiffly and his eyes widened. Shening was only wearing a white inner garment, which was stained with sawdust. Her face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and her eyes were narrowed into slits. She was clearly a frail figure, but her entire body exuded an aura that made one tremble in fear. It was as if the coldness of hell was seeping out and was drilling into their hearts bit by bit. There seemed to be something burning behind her. The scene became eerily quiet. Everyone looked at the person who had suddenly appeared and subconsciously held their breath, the hair on their bodies standing on end. She said word by word, "It's the middle of the night. Why are you so noisy?" Yu Haiheng's eyes widened in disbelief. "No, this is impossible. Why is she here? Didn't she accept the challenge and go to Fangshao City?" Fei Yeshu of Mingxin sect said that he saw her. "Why is she here? You, why are you?" Ah. Before he could finish speaking, he felt his collar tighten. A familiar sense of dizziness came over him. The next moment, he felt pain all over his body. His meridians suddenly exploded, and the ground rumbled. Shen Ying's entire body seemed to be on fire. She grabbed the person beside her and smashed him into the ground. The entire invincible sect shook. In a moment, the sound of someone smashing the ground and her furious scolding could be heard. "Who told you to be noisy? Who told you to be noisy? Who told you to be noisy?" Again and again and again. "Master." Some soul formation cultivators reacted and wanted to go forward to save them, but found that it was completely useless. Moreover, they were directly engulfed by Shen Ying's violent anger. She did not seem to know what she was holding in her hand. She rushed forward and smashed the person in her hand. It was as if she was smashing a mole, one hammer after another. More than 10 soul formation cultivators were smashed into the ground. They could not be dug out. And the hammer in her hand was the Yu family master. In less than 5 minutes, more than 10 soul formation cultivators who wanted to destroy the entire invincible sect were all destroyed. Fengying, Yu Hong, see you. All the disciples. So scary. She finally understood why the first rule of invincible sect was not to disturb her sleep. No one could bear the consequences. 5 minutes later, Shening. Seeing that she had finally stopped whack-a-mole and was standing motionless on the spot, Fengying could not help but call out to her. "Luckily you made it in time." Before he could finish speaking, Shening turned around abruptly. Instantly, a murderous aura filled the air. Like a flood breaking through a dam, it rushed toward him. Fengying was shocked and his heart sank. Are you all right? Wait, what are you doing?" She suddenly walked towards him step by step, her murderous aura increasing. "Wait. Hey, I'm Fengying." As if she hadn't heard anything, she continued to approach step by step. "Ding! Warning! Warning! The enmity of the big boss towards you has already broken through the surface. It is a crisis of extinction. Extinction crisis. No way. Don't scare me." Looking at Shening, she didn't recognize him at all. She thought he was her accomplice who disturbed her sleep. This way of getting out of bed was too scary, yet he had nowhere to hide. "Wait. Shening, don't be rash. Wake up and see who I am. Shening. Sect Master. Big Boss." Shening continued to approach him as if she hadn't heard anything. He had nowhere to retreat. With a thud, he hit the wall. The system in his mind sounded a crazy warning, just as she was about to grab his collar, like how she grabbed Yu Haiheng. His heart was instantly filled with despair. "It's over." "Sect Master." A female voice sounded from the side. Yu Hong suddenly held a plate and cut in from the side. There was a leftover bun on it. Elder I Ching prepared a midnight snack. "Do you want to eat it?" Shen Ying's hand paused. She lowered her head and stared at the bun on the plate. Instantly, her murderous aura disappeared. She grabbed the bun and finished it in a few mouthfuls. Then, she turned and walked towards the ruins of the side hall. She walked all the way to the bed, lifted the blanket and lay down. In a short while the sound of snoring could be heard. Everyone. So she hadn't woken up at all just now. When Shening woke up the next day, she saw more than 10 people surrounding her bed. Pairs of worried, excited, and worshipful eyes all landed on her. She froze for a moment. After a while, she raised her hand and greeted them. "Good morning. Are you here to call me for breakfast? Was there a need to be so many people here?" No one replied. Instead, the look in their eyes became even more intense. What was going on? Shening sat up from the bed, looking confused. Only then did she see the ruins in front of her. What happened to the house? Was there an earthquake? Everyone looked at each other for a while. Then they asked carefully, Sect Master, did you forget? Forget what? She tilted her head. Her expression became even more confused. No, nothing. Everyone shook their heads in unison. They swallowed their saliva and looked at each other speechless. Only then did Yu Hong step forward. She looked at Shin Ying and said, Sect Master, last night, the head of the Yu family brought more than 10 soul formation cultivators up the mountain. We got into a fight. That's why this place. Oh. Shin Ying nodded. Has it been settled? It's settled. Not bad. Shin Ying complimented them. You guys are quite impressive. Everyone. Their hearts felt stifled. But this house is a little damaged. Shin Ying stood up and looked around. It looked like it would take a few days to repair. She was about to arrange for someone to call the rabbits. Great Immortal. A person suddenly walked over from the end of the bed and knelt down in front of her. Great Immortal, please save my father. Only then did Shin Ying realize that there was one more person in the crowd. Stunned, she asked, Who is it? Sect Master. This is the young master of the Yin family, Yin Yuanfei. Siyu stepped forward and explained. He was chased by the Yu family and was sent here by the rabbit demons in the middle of the night. Oh, so it was that masochist. What happened to your father? My father and the heads of the other 2 aristocratic families, as well as many cultivators from the other sects, were bewitched by the Yu family and entered the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. We don't know if he's alive or dead, Yin Yuanfei said anxiously. Immortal Ascension Pagoda? What the hell? Shin Ying was stunned. She turned to look at Feng Ying and said, Well, baby, you have more information. Can you explain? Feng Ying. Who the hell was calling whom baby? Although his system was a parenting system, did she really think he was a child? My name is Feng Ying. If you call me baby one more time, I'll turn against you. Ding. Host's name change application is successful. New name baby. Confirmed. Chapter 86. I've just received the news as well. Feng Ying pulled out a chair from the rubble and swept the dust off it. The Immortal Ascension Pagoda suddenly appeared in the Yu family of Huayuan City yesterday. It's said that your battle with the Yu family patriarch triggered the Yu family's restriction, causing the Immortal Ascension Pagoda to appear. Oh yes, the strange phenomenon that appeared yesterday morning was caused by the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. Come and sit. Oh. Shin Ying sat on the chair that he pulled out. What's the use of this pagoda? Ding! Congratulations, dear host. You have completed the mission and obtained the achievement of a polite young man. The corner of Feng Ying's mouth twitched. He tried his best to ignore the system's voice and continued. According to the Yu family's ancient records, this pagoda was a Dharma artifact used by the Yu family patriarch before he ascended thousands of years ago. Inside the pagoda is a trial ground that connects to the immortal realm. As long as you can reach the top of the 3-story pagoda, you can directly ascend to become an immortal. That's why it's called the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. Ascend to become an immortal. Everyone was shocked. Ascension was a very dangerous thing. There were so many soul formation cultivators in the Upper Azure world, many of whom were at the perfected soul formation stage. However, none of them dared to casually trigger the Ascension lightning tribulation. They were afraid that they would be struck by lightning if they failed. Those itinerant immortals were the best example. The fact that the Yu family had such a pagoda would drive all the cultivators in the Upper Azure world crazy. According to the news from the Soul Chasing Tower, the Yu family has indeed become the most popular aristocratic family in the Upper Azure world because of the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. Everyone is fighting to build a good relationship with the Yu family because they want to know more about the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. Feng Ying continued to explain. The Yu family knows that they cannot monopolize it. Since the patriarch is missing, the elders of the Yu family invited mighty cultivators from the other 3 aristocratic families to enter the pagoda first. My father and the various great uncles in the family are the first group to enter the pagoda, Yin Yuanfei said in a low voice. Shening nodded. Then how do you know that something has happened to them? And how do you know that this is the Yu family's plot? It's a life token. He took out a square tablet from his robe. Other than a small white piece in the upper right corner, the rest of the tablet was pitch black. My Yin family is a business, and we often help cultivators sell rare and precious treasures. In order to prevent people from murdering us and stealing our treasures, every member of our family has a life tablet like this. If it turns black, it means that something has happened to the other party, and their lives are in danger. Yin Yuanfei continued to raise the life tablet high and said, Not long after father entered the pagoda, it became like this. This is clearly a sign that his life is at stake. Moreover, it wasn't just him. Before entering the tower, my father also set up one for the people from the other two families, just in case. He told me to always pay attention to any changes. Just last night, everyone's life tablet was either shattered or turned into such a state. No matter how dangerous the tower is, it's impossible for so many people to. In other words, everyone who entered the pagoda was in trouble. Shining frowned. This was a little troublesome. Turning to look at everyone, he asked, Where's Father Niu? Sect Master, you've forgotten. Yu Hong stepped forward and replied, Elder Lone Moon went to the Yin family. And from what Yu Haiheng said last night, it seems like he has also entered the pagoda. Father Niu is also trapped in the pagoda? Dozens of traveling immortals from the three aristocratic families did not make it out. Feng Ying shook his head and said, Then Supremacy Lone Moon is probably in trouble. So troublesome. Shening scratched her head. Why did someone as smart as Father Niu enter the pagoda? What should she do? Should she go and save him? She had not eaten breakfast. She looked around, but did not see any familiar figures. Where's Chef? Didn't he say he would only be out for a day? Yu Hong shook her head. Elder Yi is not back yet. Everyone is talking about the other senior sword cultivator in your sect. Yin Yuanfei suddenly seemed to recall something. I met him on the way here. Senior heard about this, and has already gone to the Immortal Ascension Pagoda to save people. He even specially asked me to invite Great Immortal. He was the one who told me the location of your sect. I'm afraid he has already arrived. Great Immortal? At Great Immortal? Where's Great Immortal? He turned around and found that Shening, who had been listening to the conversation lazily, had already disappeared. Everyone. A while later. Senior Sister Hong. Did Sect Master leave alone just now? I guess so. After all, this concerns Elder Yi. There were many other people present. But Sect Master would get lost in the back hall. Can she find the Immortal Ascension Pagoda? Yu Hong. Feng Ying. Everyone. Suddenly they were extremely worried about the future of the sect. I Ching rushed to the Yu family last night. The Immortal Ascension Pagoda towered into the clouds. There were 3 levels in total, and it was surrounded by thick immortal qi. It was even thicker than the immortal qi he saw in the ancient Immortal Palace. The strange thing was that the Yu family did not send anyone to guard the pagoda, and allowed cultivators to enter. He was anxious to save people, and did not think too much about it. He directly entered the pagoda. It was pitch black inside the pagoda. He could not see a second figure entering the pagoda. Unlike the immortal qi outside, the inside was filled with yin qi. From time to time, the yin qi would materialize and attack the people entering the pagoda. As I Ching dispersed the strange aura, he carefully pondered over the mystery of this pagoda. After spending 6 hours and using up most of his spiritual power, he finally grasped some patterns and found a flaw in his surroundings. He broke through the darkness, and his eyes lit up. He took a closer look and realized that he was in a spacious stone room. The floor was filled with cultivators who had just entered the pagoda. However, they seemed to have fallen into some kind of illusion. Their faces were filled with pain, and they could not wake up. The darkness he saw just now was a mental demon tribulation. He was a sword cultivator, and he was determined to eliminate all evil spirits in the world. That was why he saw that darkness. Fortunately, he came to his senses in time, and was able to break through the barrier and wake up. The people on the floor obviously had not seen through it. He did not know what this Immortal Ascension Pagoda was, It could actually forcibly trigger mental demons. Just as he was thinking, he suddenly heard a sound above his head. It sounded like something was moving. He looked up and saw that the stones were moving away one by one. They automatically piled up into layers. In a short while, they formed a flight of stairs that led directly to the sky. I Ching frowned and looked around. When he did not see the person he was looking for, he gripped the sword in his hand tightly and flew up the stairs. No matter what was in the pagoda, he would only know after he entered it. He flew all the way up until he reached the end of the stairs. The scenery around him changed. He was in a dense forest. He could hear the faint sounds of insects and birds. Even the stairs that he had just ascended had disappeared. Suddenly, a deep male voice rang out. It sounded as if it came from beyond the heavens. In an instant it spread everywhere. Someone can actually overcome their mental demons so quickly and successfully enter the first level. Who are you? I Ching looked around cautiously, but did not sense any unfamiliar aura. So you have an innate sword embodiment. No wonder. The other party did not seem to have any intention of answering him. He continued, you can see through your mental demons. You can be considered a determined person. Let's see if you can break through the Tao-seeking stage of the first level. The moment he finished speaking, a beam of light descended from the sky. A figure slowly appeared in the light. Only by defeating the person in front of you can you enter the second level. The voice seemed to rejoice in I Ching's misfortune. The beam of light slowly dissipated. In a short while, a figure dressed in white appeared. The suppressive aura of a soul formation cultivator emanated from him. He held a jade flute dharma artifact in his hand. I Ching was shocked. This person was actually Lone Moon. Fake. He is not an illusion. This is the first level of the Immortal Ascension Pagoda's test. As long as you defeat him, you will be one step closer to ascension. The voice sounded again, this time with a hint of mockery. The great Tao is heartless. As the Tao in your heart can you kill? Before he could finish speaking, I Ching rushed towards Lone Moon like an arrow released from a bow. He did not hesitate at all. Every move landed on the spot, leaving no room for maneuver. He had long wanted to beat up this little B***TCH, who had snatched his master away from him. It's great that it's the real person. Oh, Chapter 87. I Ching's sword was merciless. It was as if the person standing opposite him was not a companion, but an enemy. He hit where it hurt. Lone Moon, on the other hand, did not make a sound. He was like a senseless puppet. He did not know how to defend himself, and only attacked I Ching with all his might. In less than a moment, Lone Moon's body already had several wounds. But even though he was forced into a desperate situation, his eyes were still unfocused. Even his expression did not change, until I Ching suddenly summoned his sword intent. A familiar huge golden sword appeared and slashed towards him. Even the surrounding trees were smashed by the sword intent. The ground shook. The huge golden sword slashed towards Lone Moon. It looked like it was about to hit Lone Moon. Only then did his eyes widen abruptly. His originally misty eyes instantly cleared up, and he shouted out reflexively, F***CK. Hearing that, I Ching turned the sword in his hand, and the huge sword intent deviated, striking the mountain beside him with a loud bang, immediately cutting off a section of the mountain peak. And for a moment, rocks rolled down from the mountain. Lone Moon felt a drop of cold sweat slide down his forehead. Thank goodness he woke up quickly. That sword was going to hit him, wasn't it? Was it going to cut him? I Ching, you're too F***king cruel. That sword would kill someone. It definitely would. I Ching turned his head. The look of pity on his face disappeared. Then he walked over and said seriously, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to wake you up. Who are you lying to? Lone Moon exploded. Don't think I don't know. Your expression just now was exactly the same as Shun Ying's. You didn't F***king take the opportunity to beat me up, did you? You're thinking too much. I Ching's eyes shifted. He became even more serious as he changed the topic. You're also a sword cultivator. Why did you fall into a mental demon for so long? And he was being manipulated. If it had been any later, he probably would not have been able to get out. What did you see? Lone Moon was stunned. His expression changed. He coughed and said, "Nothing. I just remembered some things from the past." The scary thing about mental demons was that they made use of the human heart's weakness. They found the weakest part and weaved the best dream to make people addicted. So people who were possessed would not be willing to come out, even if they knew it was their own mental demon. And he had just returned to the modern world. I Ching did not continue asking. He looked up at the sky and said, "The staircase has appeared again." Lone Moon paused. Then he realized that the scenery around them had changed. It was as if something was breaking them apart and reforming them. In a short while, layers of stone steps appeared under their feet, leading to the sky. The two of them looked at each other and flew up at the same time towards the staircase. Sure enough, when they stepped on the last step, the scenery around them changed again. It became a wasteland with no end in sight. Even when they released their divine senses, they couldn't detect the boundary. It was as if a new space had suddenly appeared. The two of them couldn't help but sigh at the wonders of the immortal Ascension Pagoda. No wonder the Yu family said that as long as one reached the top of the pagoda's third level, they could ascend and become immortals. But how could it be that easy to become an immortal? There were many checkpoints within the pagoda. To enter the pagoda, one had to overcome the trial of the inner demons. The first level was Tao seeking, which tested a cultivator's Tao heart. The later levels would only be more dangerous. From the looks of it, ascending the tower was no easier than Ascension Tribulation Lightning. The place they were currently at should be the second floor. In a short while, the light from before appeared again. Compared to when Lone Moon first appeared, there were more than 10 of them this time. But for some reason, that voice didn't appear again. The light slowly dissipated, and more than 10 figures appeared in front of them. When they saw the 3 figures in the middle, the 2 of them were shocked. Family Head Yin, Family Head Yi, and Family Head Xian Yuan. Lone Moon scanned the group of people in surprise. Indeed, they were all traveling immortals. Aren't they the ones who entered the pagoda first? How could they? Were they the same as him? Had they lost their minds and been controlled? What exactly was this immortal Ascension Pagoda? "I'll take the left, you take the right." I Ching didn't say much. He gripped his sword tightly and charged forward. They could only fight now. Lone Moon also charged forward. In an instant, the sky was filled with spells. Although I Ching and Lone Moon were sword cultivators, and had no problem dealing with 1 or 2 traveling immortals, they couldn't fight against so many opponents. When the 3 aristocratic families first entered the pagoda, other than the Xian Yuan family, which had a few traveling immortals who had not recovered from their injuries, the other 2 families had brought almost all the traveling immortals in their families. In total, besides the family heads, there were 8 traveling immortals. He and I Ching had to fight 4 people each. Just the thought of it was taxing. What's more, he had just suffered some injuries. Although they weren't serious, they still affected him. But at this moment, they couldn't find the exit. The only way was to fight and wake these people up. But after a while, he realized that these people were in a different situation from him. Their eyes were lifeless. Not to mention their consciousness. Even their primordial spirits seemed to be. Lone Moon's eyes widened. He immediately reacted and shouted to the people beside him. "I Ching, most of them have already been completely demonized. We can't wake them up." He gritted his teeth. Traveling immortals were people who had failed to ascend to immortality. Their mental demons would only be stronger than others. How could they come out so easily? I Ching's expression darkened. He instantly realized this. He scanned all the people who were being controlled. As he blocked their attacks, he said in a low voice, "Focus. Wake the 3 family heads first." Lone Moon nodded. He dodged the traveling immortals beside him and turned to focus on Yin Feng. This battle lasted for more than 20 hours. Lone Moon had used up almost all the spiritual energy in his body. In the end, he swung his sword, carrying a fierce killing intent, directly at Yin Feng. Just as it was about to hit Yin Feng's vital point, Yin Feng's expression changed. His eyes filled with terror. He hurriedly retracted his sword intent, but the wind from the sword still brushed Yin Feng's right hand, causing blood to spurt out like a fountain. This is. Yin Feng's fear had not faded. There was also a hint of confusion. Supremacy, Lone Moon? Before Lone Moon could explain, I Ching had already flown over, carrying the other two family heads who were awake. Compared to Yin Feng, the other two were more seriously injured. It was clear that he had not held back just now. I Ching turned to face the pursuing traveling immortals and swung his sword. Instantly, the sky was filled with sword chi. They're awake. Let's go, he said in a low voice. Then he turned and flew into the distance. Lone Moon did not hesitate. He picked up the injured Yin Feng and chased after him. They needed time to recover. At this time, 50 kilometers away, a certain someone looked at the completely unfamiliar scenery around her. Then she suddenly remembered an important question. Where is Huayuan City? If she had known, she would have brought Radish with her. But they had already walked for half a day. Should she go back first? She was just about to turn back when she paused. Go back? Which way should she go? It was so troublesome to go out. Chapter 88. I Ching and Lone Moon led the three family heads as they fought and retreated. They did not know how much time had passed in the pagoda. Only then did they find a chance to adjust their breathing. But the three family heads' injuries were too serious. The injuries they sustained when they tried to wake them up were secondary. The main reason was that they had been obsessed with their mental demons for too long and had damaged their foundations. The spirit chi in their bodies had almost dissipated. What was even stranger was that they could not draw chi into their bodies in this pagoda. The surrounding spirit chi was so thick that it was almost solid, but it seemed fake and could not be guided into their bodies. That was why their injuries could not be healed. Lone Moon guessed that there must be some kind of restriction inside that they had never seen before. What should we do? Lone Moon was a little annoyed. If this goes on, even if they do not succumb to their mental demons, they will die of exhaustion here. That depends on what the family heads think. I Ching looked meaningfully at the three people sitting on the ground. The three of them were stunned. Supremacy, what do you mean? They are the traveling immortals of your family. Some of them might succumb to their mental demons and lose their sense of self. I Ching did not continue. The three of them paled. They immediately understood what he meant. Succumb to their mental demons and lose their sense of self. Given their current situation, they did not have time to waste. If they could not wake them up, they would die. For a moment, everyone was silent. The three family heads exchanged a look. After a while, they seemed to have made up their minds and nodded. Xian Yuanyu took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. Supremacy, I Ching, we understand what you mean. If we really cannot, our three families will only remember your kindness in saving our lives. It would be good if they could be awakened. But if they had really been eroded by their mental demons and lost their sense of self, even if they left the pagoda, they would only be demonic creatures that only knew how to kill. Good. I Ching heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at Lone Moon and said, when they catch up later, you lure the four supremacies away. There is no need to fight them. Just hold them back and make them unable to catch up to you. With that said, he looked at the other three and asked, Family Head E, do you have a Dharma artifact that can trap the traveling immortals? Yifeng thought about it and nodded. Yes. However, I'm afraid we won't be able to trap the traveling immortals for long with just Dharma artifacts. We just need to be able to trap him for an hour. I Ching turned to the other two and said, Patriarch Yin and Patriarch Xian Yuan, help us from the side. No matter who it is, just trap one traveling immortal, leave the rest to me. With that said, he turned back to look at Lone Moon. After an hour, lure the other four over. You want to defeat them one by one? Lone Moon was shocked and his eyes brightened. He nodded. That's all we can do now. He hoped that the group of people wouldn't see through him. All right. I'll listen to you. Lone Moon nodded and took a deep breath. I Ching briefed them on the details. In less than a quarter of an hour, they could vaguely feel the suppressive force of many traveling immortals heading their way. Coming. Lone Moon and I Ching exchanged a look and flew out together. Outside Huayuan City. Wow, what a tall tower. Shening looked up at the towering white tower in front of her. It occupied almost half of Huayuan City and could be seen from a few miles away. Of course, I heard that this tower leads directly to the immortal realm. Of course it's extraordinary. The person beside her explained excitedly. Although there are only 3 levels in the tower, I heard that there are infinite mysteries inside. It's like a world of its own. Miss, I can only send you up to this point. You have to go in yourself. The person pointed to the city gates of Huayuan City in front of them and flew down on his sword. Thank you, little brother. Shening smiled at him. After leaving the demon realm, she had been wandering around for half a month and still could not find the immortal Ascension Pagoda. Fortunately, she met a good person who was willing to give her a lift. There were still many good people in this world. Don't mention it. Intian City is not far from here anyway. It's on the way. The man smiled back at her and flew up again. I'll leave first then. Goodbye. Shening quickly waved at him. Seeing that he was far away, she entered the city. Up close, the immortal Ascension Pagoda seemed even bigger. From time to time, wisps of immortal chi would slide across its surface. Many cultivators gathered around the pagoda, some with high and some with low cultivation levels. The door of the pagoda was open, and there was no one guarding it. However, most of the cultivators present were just watching. Very few of them entered. It's so lively, she said subconsciously. What kind of lively is this? The person beside her replied. This pagoda has been here for more than half a month. It was lively during the first few days. I heard that all the soul formation cultivators and traveling immortals from the big sects and aristocratic families are here. Most of the experts from the Upper Azure world are gathered here. The highest cultivation level of those outside is only at the nascent soul stage. It can't be compared to the first few days. Oh. Shening nodded. Then why don't they go in? That's the immortal Ascension Pagoda. Who would dare to enter without reaching the soul formation stage? The person continued. I heard that there are 3 levels in the pagoda. Each level is extremely dangerous. Only by passing all 3 levels and reaching the top of the pagoda can one ascend to immortality. Right now, only the experts from the various aristocratic families and sects are going in. Is it so scary inside? Of course. Oh. She pointed to the top of the pagoda with a serious expression. Then why don't we just fly up from the outside? Huh? The person paused and froze on the spot. There's such a method. Didn't they say that we only have to reach the top of the pagoda? That's what the rumors said. The person paused for a while, thinking about the feasibility of this method. After a while he shook his head and said, This is an immortal pagoda. There must be protective array formations around it. How can we just fly? Before he could finish speaking, he felt the figure beside him shrink. The next moment, there was a cracking sound, and the ground sank a few feet. The woman who was standing beside him just now squatted down and leaped. Like an arrow released from a bow, she shot up into the sky. Wow. She really flew up. Hey. Inside the pagoda, the few of them used almost all their strength to finally subdue the 8 possessed traveling immortals. Although I Ching suggested the direction, there was still a problem midway. 15 minutes after Lone Moon lured the traveling immortals away, those people seemed to have sensed something was wrong. They gave up on Lone Moon and turned back. The plan to take them down one by one was almost ruined. Fortunately, I Ching burst out at the last moment and held on. Fortunately, 4 of these traveling immortals woke up, but they had been trapped in their mental demons for too long. Compared to the 3 patriarchs, they were more seriously injured. Even walking was a problem. Lone Moon was so tired that he fell to the ground. He looked at I Ching, who was the only one still standing. Then, he saw the staircase that led to the next level. After panting for a while he said, I can't move anymore. What should we do next? Do we still go up? I Ching sat cross-legged and adjusted his breathing for a while. Then he gritted his teeth and said, You guys wait here. I'll go up alone. What? Chapter 89. You're crazy. Lone Moon glared at him. You've seen what's going on the 2nd level. Who knows what's going on up there? That's why. I'll go up alone. I Ching glanced at everyone, and then at the disappearing wasteland. He said in a low voice, This place is disappearing. This means that the Immortal Ascension Pagoda will not let us stay on this level. There's no turning back. I'll go up and see if there's any other way out. If it's not dangerous, you can come back up. He paused for a while and continued. You can come back up when you absolutely can. We haven't been back for so long. Master will definitely come looking for us. Lone Moon did not reply. This was indeed the only way out. I Ching closed his eyes. Dealing with 8 traveling immortals at once had indeed exhausted all his energy. He continued to regulate his breathing for an hour before opening his eyes. He picked up the blood-stained sword beside him and walked up to the last level. The moment he reached the last step, the scenery before him changed. It was different from the first and second levels. He seemed to be inside a palace. There were spirit fires burning all around him. Beneath his feet was the glow of a transportation array. 5 people sat on a platform in the middle of the palace. I was wondering who it was that came up to the 3rd level. Isn't that the sword cultivator beside that demoness? The person in the middle said in surprise. That's right, I recognize him, another person said. Another person spoke up. I saw him on the day of the sex grand competition. He's the one beside that demoness. I didn't go looking for trouble with her personally. I didn't expect her people to come knocking on our door. I Ching frowned and gripped his sword tightly. He looked at the 5 people and said, You are the traveling immortals who disappeared with Yu Haiheng. Traveling immortals? The person in the middle suddenly asked and snorted coldly. Suddenly, the entire sky was filled with an overwhelming pressure that pressed down on I Ching. He was not paying attention and fell to one knee. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was completely defenseless. This was not the pressure of a traveling immortal. These people, who said we were traveling immortals? The person continued. Thanks to the Patriarch's protection, the Immortal Ascension Pagoda has restored our cultivation. Even our immortal bones have been nurtured. How can traveling immortals compare to us? We are already perfected immortals. After saying that, he unleashed an aura that was several times stronger and carried a murderous aura toward the other party. Although we can't kill that demoness with our own hands, killing you can also relieve the anger in our hearts. I Ching gritted his teeth and gathered all the spirit chi in his body to force himself to stand up. He waved his sword and with a ding, he barely blocked the opponent's oppressive attack. He had already guessed that the 3rd level would not be simple, but he did not expect it to be the 5 of them. Furthermore, they had recovered their immortal bones. I Ching gripped the sword in his hand with all his might. In the current situation, he could only fight. At the top of the tower, a figure shrouded in black mist exclaimed. To be able to hold on until now, perhaps he really does have the talent to ascend to immortality. What a pity. He sighed, but there was no hint of pity in his words. In any case, there was an indescribable coldness in his voice. If this goes on, those 5 disappointing things will really fall into his hands. His smile deepened, and the black chi around him became thicker and thicker. Haha, I wonder what kind of expression he will have when he comes to this top level and finds out about the truth of ascension. Innate sword embodiment. Such a material should belong to me. What an idiot. There are thousands of great Daos, but he chose the path of exterminating demons and protecting the Tao. In order to save some idiots, he barged into the pagoda. Now that he can't even protect himself, who can save him? Bam! Before he could finish talking to himself, there was suddenly a loud sound above his head. A figure fell down with a crash. After a while, she got up, patted the dust off her body, and waved in his direction. Hey, hello! Shunning walked a few steps closer. Excuse me, have you seen my chef? What's his name? Ching, the one who looks quite handsome. She had not eaten properly for half a month. She really missed him. There was silence for 2 seconds. Who are you? The black fog around the black figure suddenly surged, and a faint crimson gaze swept over. How did you get in here? I jumped in. She pointed at the hole above her head. Jumped in. Could it be that she rushed in from the outside? How could that be? There was actually someone in this world who could break through his immortal ascension pagoda. Speaking of which, have you seen Chef before? He's about this tall. She gestured and began to describe. double eyelids, long hair, wearing white clothes. Oh yes, he's a sword cultivator. Sword cultivator. The black figure's voice deepened. The surging black chi slowed down. He sized her up for a while, as if suppressing his surprise, and laughed even more sinisterly. So you're in cahoots with the sword cultivator below. You've seen him before? Shenning walked a few steps closer happily. I didn't think that after waiting in this pagoda for millions of years, the world would finally produce two people who have the ability to reach the top of the pagoda. Really, the heavens are on my side. Ha ha ha. He suddenly laughed maniacally. The black mist around him intensified, and in the blink of an eye, it covered the entire top of the pagoda. The space that was bright just a moment ago suddenly darkened. Shenning subconsciously rubbed her arms. The black mist made her feel uncomfortable. This smoke. Was it special effects? You're indeed someone who can reach the top of the pagoda. Even in such a thick demonic chi, you're still safe and sound. The black figure sighed, sounding even more satisfied. That. She just felt that it was blocking her view. Since you know that sword cultivator, you must be the so-called invincible sect master, right? Yu Haiheng was defeated by you. Huh. Shenning was stunned. Are you curious how I know? The black shadow laughed even more smugly. It's all thanks to you that my disappointing descendants of the Yu family were taken care of by you. That's right, I'm also from the Yu family. I'm the true owner of the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. And the first head of the Yu family, Yu Haotian. His tone was cold, and with every sentence he spoke, the black chi around him grew thicker. Are you surprised? Everyone thinks that I've already ascended to immortality, but they don't know that I've already abandoned my Tao and become a demon. I've been staying in this pagoda, waiting for a chance to become a true demon. Even the Yu family has forgotten about my existence. Actually, speaking of which, if you hadn't forced this generation's family head into a desperate situation, the blood curse I planted on the descendants of the Yu family would not have been triggered. It caused me to appear in the world earlier. I'm not. You don't have to be nervous. The Yu family, although they are my descendants, their lives and deaths have nothing to do with me. He sounded relaxed, as if he had no intention of avenging the Yu family. I restored their cultivation because they woke me up. No, what I mean is, I asked them to spread the news about the Immortal Ascension Pagoda, so that all the cultivators in the world would gather in the pagoda. His tone was full of pride. Once they enter the pagoda, they will fall into mental demons. As time passes, their bodies, primordial spirits and cultivation will all be absorbed by the pagoda, becoming nutrients for me to become a demon. That's why this pagoda has another name, Demonic Refinement Pagoda. Chapter 90. But you and that sword cultivator are an exception. Yu Haotian glanced at her, his demonic chi growing thicker. One is not affected by the mental demons, the other can break into the pagoda. This level of cultivation is rare. You should be a good material for my demonic cultivation. As soon as he finished speaking, the black chi around his body exploded again. The surroundings turned pitch black, leaving only two red eyes floating in the air. As long as I have your cultivation, I will be able to shed my mortal body and become a true demon. His voice was full of excitement. The entire pagoda seemed to feel his emotions and began to shake violently. When that happens, even immortals from the upper realm will not be a match for me. He laughed even more wildly. A red light flashed in his eyes. With a bone-chilling aura, he flew towards Shenning. Become a part of this pagoda. The black chi was about to pounce on the person in front of him. I say. Shenning narrowed her eyes and suddenly leaned forward. She walked towards the black chi, as if it was nothing, and reached out to grab it. Huh. How is this possible? How could someone be immune to the demonic chi that could suck away all life? Yu Haotian did not have time to react. In the next moment, he felt his vision blur. With a loud thud, his head hit the ground. But she didn't stop. Instead, she grabbed his head and smashed it down like a watermelon, making a series of thumping sounds. The entire Immortal Ascension Pagoda shook violently. I'm just asking for directions. Why are you King? F asterisk king. She shouted angrily as she smashed his head. Don't you know that I haven't eaten yet? Who asked you to stall for time? Who asked you to stall for time? Why did every villain have the heart to write a thesis? Because Shunning did not have a proper meal. The anger that she had been suppressing for half a month exploded. Each strike was heavier than the one before. And with each strike, the black chi on Yu Haotian's body would disperse a bit. In less than a moment, the originally ink-black top of the pagoda regained its brightness. Even Yu Haotian's original appearance was revealed. There was only a skeleton under his long black robe. After the demonic chi dissipated, there was no sign of life. A minute later, Yu Haotian was knocked out. Without the support of the demonic chi, the entire Immortal Ascension Pagoda began to return to its original appearance. The original jade-white body of the pagoda slowly turned pitch black, as if it had lost its color. Even the dense immortal chi disappeared. Instead, it was filled with Densine chi. Shunning didn't have time to care about these changes. She looked around the top of the pagoda, but didn't find anyone else. She took a closer look and realized that not far ahead, a black staircase had appeared out of nowhere. It seemed to lead to the next level. She immediately walked down the stairs, and there was a rumbling sound and the light of spells in front of her. There was also a faint familiar sword intent. Chef! She was overjoyed. She didn't bother climbing up the stairs and jumped down from the middle. The next moment, the scenery in front of him changed, and he found himself in a room that was similar to the top of the tower. A familiar figure stood straight in the middle, seemingly surrounded by something. Hey! She took a step forward and was about to call for help. I Ching suddenly turned around and waved the sword in his hand. Instantly, a dragon formed from sword chi rushed towards her with an astonishing aura. Holy shit! Shunning jumped in fright. She slapped the dragon upwards, causing it to change direction and fly towards the top of her head. At once, the cover of the Immortal Ascension Pagoda was blown open. Master? I Ching suddenly called out softly. Shunning then realized that his entire body was covered in blood. Even the sword in his hand was dyed red. The red liquid flowed down the blade of the sword in a straight line. There was still a murderous look in his eyes. Chef, what's wrong with you? She asked subconsciously. He paused as if confirming something. The corners of his mouth curved into a pitiful smile. It was as if all the energy in his body had been released. His hands loosened and he fell forward. Chef! Shunning ran over reflexively and reached out to help him sit on the ground. Hey, don't scare me. Wake up, hey? She patted his face for a long time, but he didn't wake up. She looked around and realized that there were 5 people lying on the ground. They were no longer breathing. Their faces looked a little familiar. After thinking carefully, she remembered that they were the 5 traveling immortals from the Yu family. She suddenly understood why he was in this state. 1 against 5. That was quite impressive. But now that he was injured like this, could he still cook? Oh! I Ching didn't know how long he had been unconscious. When he woke up again, his injuries were almost healed. His broken meridians were completely repaired. Even his damaged primordial spirit was recovering. Thinking of what happened before he fainted, he was overjoyed. He quickly looked around and fixed his gaze on a certain person who was sitting on the chair to the right, chewing on a fruit. Master. He was about to sit up when he felt a tearing sensation in his body. Slow down, slow down. Shunning quickly pushed him back down. Your injuries haven't healed yet. I Ching lay back down, but his eyes were still on her. I'm fine now. Thank you, Master, for healing me. Shunning stiffened. The person who's healing you is here. Lone Moon, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, rolled his eyes. He was the one sitting closest to Shunning. Where did he get the skill to lock onto Shunning the moment he opened his eyes? I Ching turned back to look at him. He frowned and turned back abruptly. As if he hadn't heard what Lone Moon said, he continued to look at Shunning with starry eyes. That expression just now was disdain, right? It was definitely disdain, right? W. Master, it's my fault. I've made you worry. I wasn't too worried. Father Neo was the one doing the work. She only sat at the side. I don't know what you were thinking, You knew that Shening would come. Why did you work so hard? Longmoon couldn't help but mutter. If you had been a little later, it wouldn't have been as simple as being unconscious for half a month. Even your cultivation would have been destroyed. I was unconscious for half a month. Yes. It's been 16 days. Was it Master who brought me back? I Ching asked. Which eye of yours saw that it was her? Longmoon said unhappily. She's so lazy. She even finds it troublesome to carry spirit stones when she goes out. I was the one who carried him. Thank you, Master. Without waiting for him to finish, I Ching said to Shening with a look of gratitude. You saved my life again and took care of me for so long, didn't you? The corner of Longmoon's mouth twitched. Hey. Do you know who saved her? Besides, she hasn't done anything besides eating fruits these days. It's good that you're awake. Shening nodded. I made a mistake in judgment this time. I was too slow. That's why you got hurt. Longmoon exposed her immediately. Judge my ass. You're just freaking lost. No, it's because I'm not skilled enough that I got injured. It has nothing to do with you, Master. I Ching's face was resolute. From now on, I will double my cultivation and not bring shame to the sect. Longmoon, you've already fought 1 against 5. What else do you want? What did he mean by his lack of skill? Yes, I believe in you. Work hard. Shening patted his shoulder hard. Rest well, and try to recover as soon as possible so that you can continue cultivating. Longmoon, King wanted to talk about cooking, didn't you? Definitely. Yes, Master. No problem, Master. He immediately lay down obediently and pulled up the blanket. Longmoon, are the two of you listening to me at all? Father Neo, pass me the plate of fruits next to you. Get lost. Motherf Ker. I don't want to care about this pair of master and disciple anymore. Chapter 91. After the incident at the Immortal Ascension Pagoda, the Yu family was completely defeated. When the pagoda was broken, the yin qi that flowed out continuously shocked everyone. No one would have thought that the Immortal Pagoda, which was said to lead directly to the immortal world, would hide such terrifying yin qi. The entire Huayuan city was affected. The yin qi lingered for months, and the spirit qi was extinguished. Cultivators moved out, not daring to go near. Huayuan City was no longer the immortal city it used to be. It had become a dead city. In addition, after the 3 aristocratic families escaped from the pagoda, they all announced that they were breaking ties with the Yu family and revealed the truth of the pagoda. It was not an Immortal Ascension Pagoda, but a demonic pagoda that specialized in sucking human flesh, cultivation, and even primordial spirits. If not for Supremacy I Ching of Invincible Sect, who risked his life to break out of the pagoda and forcefully awakened everyone inside, all the soul formation cultivators in the Upper Azure world would have died in the pagoda. This news shocked the entire Upper Azure world. The degree of evil in the pagoda was even greater than that of fiendish cultivators. Cultivators could regenerate their bodies and cultivate again, but once their primordial spirits disappeared, they would disappear forever. They would not even have the chance to reincarnate. In a moment, all the sects targeted the Yu family. They despised the Yu family as much as they admired them before. The Yu family, which was originally one of the 4 aristocratic families, was now on the verge of collapse. Their disciples either left or changed their names. In less than half a month, the Yu family's strength was no longer comparable to that of a third-rate sect. Invincible Sect, on the other hand, was once again famous in the Upper Azure world. I Ching, who had sacrificed himself to save the entire Upper Azure world, was now recognized as the #1 sword cultivator. From tomorrow onwards, I might need to go into seclusion for a period of time. Shening, who finally had a full meal, turned to look at the determined chef beside her. Have you recovered from your injuries? Master, don't worry. My injuries are indeed healed. I Ching frowned and put down the dish in his hand. It's just that after the battle in the pagoda, I feel that my cultivation has loosened. I want to go into seclusion to improve my cultivation. Holy shit, don't tell me you had another epiphany. Longmoon's eyes widened. He was about to ascend to the heavens. I just have a new understanding of sword intent. I Ching shook his head and said, "It's not an epiphany." Lone Moon glanced at him, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't. After a while, he sat back down and continued eating. "Oh, then how long are you going to be locked up?" Shunning asked. "If it's quick, it'll take 1 or 2 months. If it's slow, it'll take 1.5 years, I Ching replied. "So long. But don't worry, master. I will come out of seclusion as soon as possible." "Yes. Moreover, my sword intent has already taken shape. Seclusion is only to stabilize my cultivation. Nothing will happen. Oh, I just have a small problem. Master, please speak. When you're in seclusion, can you come out and cook? A while later. It was your disciple's lack of consideration. Should I prepare more food and seal it with a spell?" "Good chef, let's begin." "Yes, master, no problem, master." Lone Moon. King retard. Looking at the 2 silhouettes in front of him, who were acting like idiots as usual, he suddenly felt annoyed and lost his appetite. "I'm full." With that said, he put down his chopsticks and turned to leave the rear hall without saying a word. Supremacy Neo seems different from before. I Ching frowned. Shunning also looked in the direction he left. He didn't explode today. After Father Neo left, they didn't see him for the whole day. He didn't even return for dinner. Without someone to complain about, it was really a little too quiet. Shunning looked at the pastries on the table and sighed. She picked up a plate and walked out. She walked 4 or 5 rounds around the mountain peak before she found Father Neo sitting on the hillside, staring at the carrots on the ground with a daze. "Do you want some?" She directly handed the pastries over. Lone Moon turned back to look at her, rolled his eyes and turned back again. "You have to eat even if you're in a bad mood." She directly put down the pastries and patted his shoulder. "Tell me, Father Neo, which family do you want to bankrupt?" Lone Moon was stunned. "Why would I want to bankrupt someone? As a CEO, isn't Wangpu of Tianliang the standard?" She laughed. "Get lost." He glared at her. "What are you thinking all day long? Don't bother me." "Oh." She picked up the pastries and was about to leave. "Come back." The corner of his mouth twitched. "Why didn't I see you being so obedient before? You really took it away. Is there anyone who comforts people like this? Didn't you say you didn't want it? Shut up. Leave the pastries." He snorted coldly and turned his head, completely ignoring her. Shunning sighed and had no choice but to walk back. She directly sat beside him and looked at the carrots on the ground with him. She began to destroy the pastries on the plate piece by piece. The 2 of them didn't speak. The silence was a little strange. The entire vegetable field was filled with only the sound of a certain person chewing on the pastries. 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes passed, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Until the sun in the sky that was as yellow as a duck's egg set, and was replaced by a crescent moon. The green veins on Lone Moon's forehead popped. "Will it kill you to say something? What the hell did this guy come here for?" "Air, weren't you the one who asked me to shut up? Aren't you freaking here to comfort me? Is there anyone like you who only eats and doesn't talk to me? At least ask me why I'm not happy." "Oh, then why are you not happy? I'll satisfy you." Lone Moon paused and frowned. He opened his mouth and closed it again. After hesitating for a long time, he turned back and continued to look in front of him. "That disciple of yours, when he comes out of seclusion this time, his cultivation will at least be in the middle stage of soul formation. Maybe." She didn't understand these things. Lone Moon sighed. "How long have we known each other?" Shunning thought about it carefully. "For 5 years? That's right, 4 to 5 years. His gaze became more and more ethereal. In just 4 to 5 years, he directly rose from a golden core cultivator to a soul formation cultivator. 2 great epiphanies in a row. If I tell people about this, I'm afraid no one in the entire 3 Azure realms would believe me. Is he that impressive? Every soul formation cultivator can only achieve this after 400 to 500 years of hard work. I've spent 300 years, and I'm already considered very perceptive." His frown deepened. "But in front of him, I'm afraid I'll be laughed at." Shen Ying's hand that was holding the pastry paused. "Shening, say we're from the same hometown after all. Just a few words from you can make him have epiphanies again and again. Why don't you help me? He looked at her with some resentment. Don't you know all the things I said? That's why I don't understand. He looked constipated. Tell me honestly, those are all lies. Air. But he can even increase his cultivation by lying. His expression became more and more dispirited. I've trained hard for hundreds of years, but it can't compare to being lied to once. Whether it's I Ching or the others, their cultivation is increasing. Only I haven't improved at all. If it were you, would you be able to understand? Is my perceptive ability really that bad? I can't understand anything at all. Then why did I transmigrate to this world? What's the point? That day when I fell into the mental demon, I returned to the modern world. It's been more than 300 years. I thought I'd long forgotten everything there. I didn't expect that I would remember it so clearly. Maybe I don't belong to, ugh. Before he could finish, his mouth was suddenly stuffed with pastries. Just as he was about to glare at the person beside him, he felt his forehead being knocked. Idiot. You. Do you know what you're called now? Shenning said seriously. What? He asked subconsciously. She suddenly leaned closer and looked into his eyes, saying word by word, pretentious. Chapter 92. Chef's cultivation is high and he rises quickly. What does that have to do with you? Shenning glanced at him in disdain. She rolled her eyes and said, he created his own sword techniques, cultivated his own cultivation, and realized his own epiphany. Eating your rice. Air. Even if he did, what does that have to do with you? Why are you competing with him? But Dash, forget it. You are you and he is him. We are not even in the same world. There is no karma between us in the first place. Why are you so stubborn that you have to compete with him? She tutade. Father Nyo, how old are you? Why are you still so unreasonable? This is different. How is it different? When you were in the modern world, were you also worried that Bill Gates was richer than you and couldn't sleep every night? Unable to refute. Straight face, everyone is different. Their personalities are different, and their circumstances are different. Naturally, their endings are different too. She continued. Why don't you find a better target to compete with? We are from the same village. Why don't you compete with me? Who can compete with a cheat like you? #*. Convex. Everyone has their own strengths. Don't focus on your own cultivation. Compared to earning money, which one of us is your match? 2 days ago, didn't you cheat Feng Ying of 2/3 of the soul-chasing tower? Who cheated? Lone Moon glared at her. In the 3 Azure realms, I provided information about the lower and middle realms to him. Isn't it fair to take 20% of the 30%? Shenning tutade. Didn't Rabbit give you the information about the lower realm? They didn't do anything, but they took 2/3 of the shares. This was obviously a wolf, without risking anything. Besides, who in the upper Azure world would be so free to ask about the lower realm? He signed the contract voluntarily. It's my fault. Lone Moon smiled fakely and glanced at her. I work so hard for the sect. Who is it for? It's all to feed you foodies. Yes. Father Nyo is the best. Father Nyo is domineering. I don't need you to say that. In any case, there's no need to doubt yourself just because of others' excellence. She continued to nibble on her pastry. Don't you guys always say that there are 3,000 ways to achieve great things? We're not walking the same path to begin with, so why are we blindly competing for the championship? Lone Moon was stunned. There were indeed 3,000 great Daos. I Ching was I Ching, and he was himself. Cultivation was about cultivating one's own Tao, and it had nothing to do with others. It was I Ching's own good fortune that he was able to achieve enlightenment. It was also his own good fortune that he was able to transmigrate to this world. There was no need to dwell on these things. In an instant, he felt his mind clear up, and all the emotions that had been stuck in his heart were gone. The wall that he had been unable to break through was showing signs of collapsing. Thank you, I got it. He smiled and snatched the plate from her hand. He grabbed the last 3 pieces of pastries and stuffed them into his mouth at lightning speed. Shenning, didn't you give it to me? Lone Moon raised his eyebrows provocatively. Go, go, go. Bring a few more plates over. Damn it. If Chef wasn't in seclusion, she wouldn't care about this unreasonable ghost. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking? He glared at her. Isn't it just that Chef is going into seclusion and wants me to give you more living expenses so that you can go to a restaurant in the city? Did Father Neo put a bug in her heart? Scary. Here. He took out a bag of spirit stones and handed it to her. I'm happy today. This is your reward. Shenning took it and was instantly blinded by the bag full of spirit stones. So many. Father Neo, you don't have a fever, right? As she spoke, she reached out to touch his forehead. Get lost. He slapped her hand away. Are you leaving or not? If not, I'll take it back. Yes, Father, no problem, Father. She immediately got up and turned to walk towards the top of the mountain. She had just taken a few steps when she heard Lone Moon add another sentence. Oh right, I forgot to mention. I don't know when I'll wake up after my enlightenment. So that's the living expenses of Invincible Sect for the next 2 months. As soon as he finished speaking, a white spirit light swept across the entire sect. The spirit chi around him instantly increased, and he was completely immersed in enlightenment. Shenning, who was holding the bag, son of AB *th, Father Neo's enlightenment lasted for more than 2 months. His cultivation also rose from the early stage of soul formation to the late stage of soul formation. This was the first time he felt what it was like to skip a level. He had to say, it felt so good. He suddenly felt a little regretful. Why didn't he talk to the cheating seriously earlier? Her words definitely had a buff to them. If he had talked to her earlier, he would have risen a long time ago. The beef is too overcooked. The chicken is not spicy. The fish is too burnt. The soup is not thick enough. Father Neo, you're being too disrespectful to small animals. Why don't you let little Hong do it? Shut up. The corner of Lone Moon's mouth twitched. To hell with the chat. He would get sick from anger if he stayed with this fellow for even 5 minutes. Either eat or get lost. She didn't even let him talk about the disgusting food. Aggrieved. #convex. Oh yes, are you very close to that Ifong? Lone Moon asked as he put down the last dish in his hand. Who? Shenning hesitated. She picked up a piece of meat and put it in her mouth. Her face fell instantly. Ifong is the head of the E family, Lone Moon explained. After thinking for a moment, he added, It's the one with the spirit beast who sat on your right during the sex competition. The image of a big trembling cat flashed across Xin Ying's mind. She suddenly understood. Oh, you mean that cat slave? What cat slave? That's just his spirit beast. I've seen him twice. I'm not familiar with him, she said casually. With that said, she moved away from the table and silently touched the bowl of meat. Lone Moon glared at her and picked up another pair of chopsticks. He raised his hand and knocked it on her hand. Don't throw it away. Eat it. We've agreed that you can only eat out once every 3 days. You better eat properly this time. Don't waste anything. Beast. The corner of Xin Ying's mouth twitched. She missed Chef who was in seclusion. She was used to eating the specialties of high-class chefs. Eating Father Neo's cooking was too torturous. That's strange. Why did he suddenly send you an invitation? Lone Moon took out a red invitation and handed it to her. I just received it this morning. He says that he wants to invite you to the E family to learn how to tame beasts. He even wrote your name, not Invincible Sect Master. Shenning took the invitation and looked at it. She thought about it carefully. Oh, I think I promised him the other day that I'd catch some rare animals with him when I'm free. No wonder. Lone Moon nodded. The last time we were in the Immortal Ascension Pagoda, his roaring lion beast Snow Silver was seriously injured. I think it didn't make it. He's inviting you now not only because he wants to befriend our sect, but also because he wants to find a new spirit beast. Shenning suddenly thought of something. Her eyes brightened. Is the E family very far away? The E family is in the northernmost part of the Upper Azure world. It's near the shore of the Mirage Sea. If we use the transportation array, it'll probably take 4 to 5 days. Then why don't we finish your meal before you leave? He pointed to the chopsticks on the table that she had thrown away. Chef, If you don't come out of seclusion soon, I'm going to lose my sense of taste. Chapter 93. Family. Sect Master Shen's Supremacy Lone Moon. Feng welcomed them from afar, smiling warmly. Apologies for not welcoming you earlier. You must have had a tough journey. Hello. Shening waved back. Why don't I see Supremacy Yiqing? Feng looked behind them and asked curiously. He's in seclusion. Lone Moon replied casually. I see. Feng nodded. I have yet to thank the two supremacies for saving my life at the Immortal Ascension Pagoda. Family Master, you're too polite. Lone Moon smiled even more politely. We're all righteous immortal sects, we should be on the same side. The two of them flattered each other for a while before Feng stepped aside and led them into the mountain. Different from the other three families, the main family was not in the Immortal City, but more like a sect, made up of many floating peaks. The moment they entered the mountain, they heard the low cries of various spirit beasts. Feng led the two of them to the main peak in the middle. Along the way, they saw disciples surrounded by one or two spirit beasts of different shapes. I wonder what they taste like. They walked all the way to the main hall of the main peak, where a disciple served tea and spirit fruits. Shen Ying's eyes lit up, and she focused on eating the fruits. After months of being fed pig's food, even the fruits were fragrant. Sect Master Shen, please. Feng suddenly stood up. She hesitated, focused on eating, and did not hear what they were talking about. Sect Master Shen is someone who knows quite a bit about spirit beasts. Shall I show you around? Feng had to explain again. Oh, thank you. So it was a tour. Shening stood up without any objections. Just as she was about to follow him out, she was pulled back by someone behind. Wait. Lone Moon lowered his voice. I'm going to discuss a business deal with their manager. Don't do anything rash. You can look, but don't get into trouble, and don't eat. I know, Father Niu. Do I look like the kind of person who only cares about eating? She did not eat raw food. Lone Moon replied without hesitation. Yes. Where was the basic trust between father and daughter? Feng led her all the way to the back, bypassing a large number of palaces and exiting the back hall. Suddenly, a huge mountain peak appeared in front of them. It was even several times larger than the main peak. This is the family's Myriad Beast Peak. Feng explained proudly. There are countless spiritual beasts on the mountain. They are different from the spiritual beasts outside. They live here all year round and are very familiar with cultivators. They will not attack people for no reason. When our family disciples come of age, they will come here to contract their first spirit beast. As he explained, he led her into the mountain through the teleportation formation. Sure enough, there were all kinds of spirit beasts on the mountain peak. There were those that flew in the sky, those that ran on the ground, and those that swam in the water. Shening suddenly felt like she was in a zoo. Just as Feng had said, the spirit beasts did not seem to notice their intrusion. It was as if they did not see them at all. Those who were supposed to lick their fur, and those who were supposed to roll on the ground, continued to roll on the ground. The beasts at the foot of the mountain are all low-level spirit beasts of the second and third rank. They are prepared for the disciples who have just joined the sect. Seeing that she was not interested, Feng pointed to the top of the mountain and said, However, there are 4 guardian spirit beasts on the Myriad Beast Peak. All of them are at the 10th rank. Sect Master Shen, are you interested in taking a look? Sure. Shening nodded. Feng led her into a teleportation formation. In a short while they arrived at the top of the mountain. A huge cave appeared in front of them. There was a faint murderous aura coming from it. Feng raised his hand and conjured a hand seal. Immediately, the array formation at the entrance of the cave dimmed. The Wind Thunder Beast inside is a rare dual elemental mutated spirit beast. It has both wind and lightning abilities. The next moment, footsteps could be heard coming from inside the cave. A moment later, a flash of lightning appeared at the entrance of the cave, accompanied by a faint gust of wind. A tall figure walked out of the cave step by step. It carried an astonishing aura and moved faster and faster. With every step it took, the ground shook. seeing a figure covered in lightning rushing out of the cave. The wind thunder beast seemed to be enraged. Its large eyes swept across the area and glared at the person on the ground. Suddenly, its eyes widened and its front hooves twisted. With a plop, it knelt in front of the two of them and began to tremble. Ha! Yifeng was stunned. This wind thunder beast was usually the fiercest. What was going on? It's so big. Shenning scanned the animal curiously and turned to look at Yifeng with shining eyes. Director, is this edible? Ah, what director? Before he could ask, the wind thunder beast suddenly howled and scrambled back into the hole it had just dug. Its speed was so fast that it seemed as if something was chasing it from behind. From time to time, it would let out a low meow. Yifeng. What's going on? He was confused. He could only bring Shenning to see the other spirit beasts. But then he realized that all the spirit beasts had the same reaction. This is a water-splitting beast. It can control water to flow into rivers. Its blood has a miraculous healing effect. Oh, is it delicious? Howl, the spirit beast ran away again. This is a red smoke green. Although its body is red, it will turn into green smoke when it is attacked. It is formless and invisible. Oh, how's the meat? Howl, the spirit beast curled into a ball. This is a triangular cloud beast. It is extremely fast. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to detect it. It is very rare to see one. Oh, it has a lot of fur. Is it convenient to pluck it out? Oh, the spirit beast's legs kicked and it fainted, so scary. That person's body reeked of blood from a high-level spirit beast. He would really be eaten. Winky face Yifeng. Are all the spirit beasts guarding the mountain sick today? Why were they all so abnormal? The ones at the foot of the mountain were fine. Why was it that the higher the level, the more weight? He looked at the lazy girl next to him in confusion. The higher the level of the spirit beast, the more sensitive it was to auras. He had heard from the Xian Yuan family patriarch that sect Master Shun's cultivation was so deep that it was a little scary. Could it be that they sensed her cultivation? But spirit beasts had always been arrogant. Even if they could not win, they would not do this, right? Moreover, the 4 spirit beasts had been in the Yi family for hundreds of years. They had seen many high-level cultivators. The more Yifeng thought about it, the more confused he became. But on second thought, at least he was more confident about inviting her to the Mirage Sea to hunt beasts tomorrow. Sect Master Shenyu? He was just about to ask when the supervising disciple rushed over anxiously. Family patriarch, there's a disciple at the side peak of the inner sect. There's a problem with the contract. Second elder wants you to go and take a look. What? Yifeng frowned. How could there be a problem with the contract? It seems that the spirit beast was unwilling, so the disciple forced the contract, so. Nonsense. How could you force the contract? His face was full of anger, but he could not ignore an inner sect disciple. He turned to Shenning apologetically and said, Sect Master Shen, I have urgent matters to attend to. I have to leave for a while. Do you? It's all right. Go on with your work. Shenning smiled nonchalantly. Everyone was busy. Then I'll make a move first. He pointed to the foot of the mountain and said, I'll have to trouble Sect Master Shun to use the transportation array to descend the mountain first. A disciple will bring you to the front hall to rest. All right. She nodded. Yifeng bowed again and flew away with a peace of mind. Shenning turned and looked around. Then she remembered a problem. Where was the transportation array? Chapter 94. Shenning circled the myriad beast peak several times. Even the fainted spirit beast had woken up. But she could not find the transportation array that she had just come up from. She was hesitating. Should she just jump down? Anyway, that was how people went up and down the mountain in Invincible Sect. Suddenly, she saw a flash of white light in the dense forest on her right. Thinking about it carefully, the transportation array seemed to be glowing white too. Delighted, she hurried over. Plucking the leaves in front of her to take a look, her eyes widened. So much money! Omega, there was a cave in front of her. But the cave was built with spirit stones, faintly emitting a white light. Once she got close, she could feel the rich spirit chi rushing towards her. Shenning touched it. The Yi family was really rich. She suddenly had the urge to call them Father Nyo. With the mood to tour the Yi family, Shening walked straight in. The inside of the cave was even bigger. It looked like a spirit stone mine. The ground and walls were covered with superior-grade spirit stones. The ground was very flat, and there was nothing around. In the middle of the cave, there was a huge snow-white fur ball. Other than the edible ones, Shening didn't remember many spirit beasts, but she didn't remember any that were as white and pure as this one. Even the spirit stones on the ground couldn't compare to its fur, and it had a long crystalline horn on its forehead. She instinctively reached out her hand to rub it. The spirit beast that was sleeping soundly suddenly opened its eyes and glared at her angrily. The white fur on its body stood up like sharp spikes, and it immediately stood up. It looked at her cautiously and growled in a low voice. "Hey, you're awake." Its fur became rounder and more like a fur ball. The fur ball's eyes widened. It stared at her hand and growled even more clearly. Shening was in a good mood. She reached out again and landed on its huge head. She stroked the fur on its head again. The fur ball was stunned. It looked at her in a daze. After a while, it lowered its head to look at her hand, unable to react for a long time. She could touch it. The more Shening touched it, the more addicted she became. She raised both hands and rubbed them a few times. It feels good. It looks delicious. Furball no longer resisted. Instead, it obediently took a step closer to her, intentionally or unintentionally rubbing its body against her palm. Shening stroked it even more happily. She stroked it from head to toe, and pinched its muscles as she stroked it. It's quite big too. It looks like it can eat for a long time. I wonder if it's expensive? Would Father Nyo agree to buy it? And why did it change color? As she stroked it, she realized that its originally pure white fur seemed to have been dyed red. Starting from the tip of its nose, it slowly turned red, and it gradually spread all over its body. Shen Ying's chest tightened. Could it be a skin disease? Who dares to barge in? Just as she was deep in thought, a familiar voice sounded from the entrance. Yi Feng, who had just descended the mountain, rushed in with a few disciples. Upon seeing her, he froze. "Sect Master Shen? How did you?" He turned to look at Furball, and his eyes widened. He pointed at her hand that was still on Furball's body. You can touch it." "I can't touch it." Shening paused and quickly moved her hand away. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." Just as she was about to retract her hand, Furball raised its head subtly and pressed itself against her palm again. "Why are you here, Sect Master Shen?" Yifeng glanced at the spirit beast. His expression changed several times before he walked over and asked. "Oh, I couldn't find the transportation array. I walked a few times and ended up here." Shening answered honestly. "Oh yes, what kind of beast is this? It looks delicious. Do you sell it?" Yifeng's expression stiffened. A hint of panic flashed across his face. He laughed awkwardly. "Haha, Sect Master Shen, you must be joking. The terrain of 10,000 Beast Mountain is complicated. It's my fault for not being a good host. I should have sent a disciple up the mountain to fetch you. You must be tired after such a long time." With that said, he quickly turned to the person behind him. "Yi Cheng, quickly bring Sect Master Shen to the guest room to rest." "Yes." That disciple quickly responded, but as if afraid of something, he did not come over. "Supremacy Lone Moon is already waiting for you. This way please, Sect Master Shen." Yifeng politely extended his hand. "We will set off for the Mirage Sea tomorrow. Sect Master Shen, please rest early." "All right." Shening turned back to look at Furball. Then she followed the disciple out. He wondered if he would be able to find one tomorrow and recruit a member of the financial group. Yifeng only heaved a sigh of relief when he could no longer see Shening. He hurriedly turned around and bowed to the pure white beast. "Please forgive me, Spirit Lord. Sect Master Shen has just arrived at the Yi family. She does not recognize you, Spirit Lord. She is also straightforward. She did not mean to offend you, Spirit Lord." The beast was silent for a while. Then it replied in a low voice. Spirit Lord, I guarantee that Sect Master Shen is not a bad person." Yifeng continued to explain. Her disciple, Supremacy I Ching, broke through the Immortal Ascension Pagoda and saved the cultivators of the various sections. If not for him, I and the E family uncle masters would have died in the pagoda. What's more, she is here to help me find a contract spirit in the Mirage Sea. The beast suddenly interrupted him. It sounded a little confused. What's her name? Ah. Yifeng paused. He did not expect the beast to ask such a question. After a while he replied, I think she's called Shen. Shen what again? Yang. Ing. Ort? What was it again? Find out and report back. After saying that, the beast turned back to the center and curled up again. It did not look at him again. It buried its head in its claws, revealing only a few strands of red fur. Oh yes. Yifeng looked confused. So, was the spirit lord angry or not? He was getting more and more confused about the beast's world. There were many beasts in the Mirage Sea. The Mirage Sea was located at the edge of the Upper Azure world. It was said that it was vast and boundless, but no one knew exactly how big it was. There were many islands in the sea, and because there were few people there were many beasts. There were all kinds of high-level beasts. There were even some that the E family had never heard of. Even high-level cultivators were no match for some of them. Yifeng was the head of the E clan, a soul formation cultivator. It was already difficult to find a suitable spirit beast in the Upper Azure world, so he could only take the risk and explore the Mirage Sea. When he sent the invitation, his real intention was to befriend Invincible Sect. Actually, he didn't really intend to ask for help, but he didn't expect the other party to really agree. He didn't know much about sect leader Shen. The only impression he had of her was that the head of the Xianyuan family treated her with respect. After the tournament, even the head of the Yin family seemed to have become like that. Although he didn't know what had happened, Yifeng could guess that she must be extraordinary. Moreover, she was Supremacy I Ching's master. Especially after witnessing Shen Ying's special deterrence towards spirit beasts yesterday, Yifeng was even more confident about this trip. The Mirage Sea was dangerous, and it was not suitable to bring too many people along. That was why only he and Sect Master Shen were on this trip. Supremacy Lone Moon seemed to have some unfinished business, so he did not plan to go. But before he left, he suddenly whispered into his ear with a solemn expression. What if Shining asks you if you know how to roast meat? You must tell her that she won't. What did that mean? Lone Moon patted his shoulder with a meaningful look. Listen to me. You will understand in the future. Yifeng looked confused. Were the people of Invincible Sect all so profound? Chapter 95. Yifeng brought Shunning all the way into the Mirage Sea. Although he did not know why she insisted on standing on his sword, she was a guest. Yifeng could not say much even though he was confused, so he began to introduce the Mirage Sea. Sect Master Shen, this is the Mirage Sea. He pointed to the endless sea and said, because of the E family, there are not many spirit beasts at the edge of the Mirage Sea. Once we pass the 1,000 islands, there will be more. Shenning nodded. Indeed, after a while, a large number of islands appeared in front of them, covering the sea. The area of the islands was very small. Some looked like stone blocks that were only a few square meters. Yifeng had no intention of staying here. After a brief introduction, he flew over. After flying for about an hour, the number of islands decreased. They could only see one every few minutes, and the area was very wide. Just like he said, there were spirit beasts on the islands. Some were in groups of 3 to 5, some were in groups of hundreds. Most of them appeared on the islands, but one would jump out of the water from time to time. Every one of them was very large, and they could be seen from afar. I met my roaring lion beast on that island. Yifeng pointed to a large island on the right. That cat. Shenning turned to look at him. Yifeng was stunned. He thought that she thought the roaring lion beast was small, so he explained. The roaring lion beast is a 10th level spirit beast. It can change its size. Sect Master Shen did not see its true body that day. In fact, it is more than 10 times bigger than that. Oh. She nodded. Thinking of his contracted beast, Yifeng could not help but feel a little sad. He did not say anything else. He glanced at the island and continued forward on his sword. After flying for about half an hour, they finally stopped on an island with a lush forest. Let's start searching from here. He flew down and pointed to the forest. The spirit chi here is very thick. There should be spirit beasts above the 10th level. Okay. Shening did not have any objections. Yifeng immediately took out a pile of array flags and Dharma talismans. I have a metal spirit root, so I want to find a spirit beast of other elements. Sect Master Shun, do you want to find a spirit beast of the same element? Yes, she nodded. Do you have any requests? A huge ball of fur flashed across Shun Ying's mind. Something bigger, something wider? Something tastier? Bye. Yifeng was stunned for a moment. He glanced at her and immediately understood. Sect leader Shun was a lady after all. It was understandable that she would want to find some good-looking spirit beasts. I have already prepared the array talismans and Dharma artifacts. Which one is Sect Master Shun best at? Ah, what does that mean? The spirit beasts here are very dangerous. It's better to be prepared. Yifeng raised the items in his hands and explained. These can be used as support. I wonder which part of the beast taming skill Master Shin is more proficient in? Are there many items? Didn't he just have to catch them? Of course. When it came to his profession, he blurted it out as if he was reciting from a book. The art of taming beasts, from tracking, aura observation, channeling formation to the later, showing off forming seals, and even the final contract. Not a single one can be omitted. Is it that complicated? In the past, rabbits only needed to be beaten up. As expected, demons and beasts were small animals with different systems. I see that the spirit beasts in the sect are very sensitive to sect leader Shun's aura. You must be proficient in tracking and aura observation? I don't. What about controlling the array? No. What about showing off and forming seals with spirit beasts? I've never learned that. Then forming a contract. Forming what? Yifeng stiffened. Then what exactly do you know? Are you really here to help? He suddenly doubted his decision to invite her to catch spirit beasts. Roar. Just as he was thinking about it, a loud roar came from not far away. It sounded like thunder, and it woke Yifeng from his petrified state. This sound, could it be a cloud-bearing beast? His eyes widened and his face paled. He quickly turned to Shin Ying and said, "We can't stay here. The ground might be." Before he could finish speaking, the ground suddenly moved. The island began to shake violently. His body sank, and the entire ground began to rise. Everywhere he looked, there was the sound of trees falling and rocks rolling down. The ground beneath his feet also began to crack. It was as if the ground was sliding down. Head to the left. Yifeng steadied himself and flew up on his sword. He turned to Shening and reminded her. Shening glanced at the rocks that littered the mountains. With a tap of her foot, she leaped in the direction that Yifeng had pointed out. Instantly, she flew high into the air and landed accurately on the southeast side of the island before Yifeng did. Looking back, she saw that the forest had completely collapsed. 2/3 of the island had risen into the air. 4 thick pillars appeared on the ground, and with another thunderous roar, a huge black head stretched out from 2/3 of the floating island, opening its mouth to reveal a mouthful of sharp teeth. At the same time, a row of huge spikes began to appear on the original boundary, covering the entire area. Shunning raised her head to look at the beast in its entirety. What a huge tortoise! It turned out that they were standing on the back of this tortoise. It really is a cloud-bearing beast. Yifeng was stunned. He did not expect that the first demon beast they encountered would be a cloud-bearing beast. This was too unlucky. Cloud-bearing beasts were the largest spirit beasts. Adult spirit beasts were so huge that they could hide the sun from the clouds. That was why they were called cloud-bearing beasts. Cloud-bearing beasts were short-tempered and had sensitive hearing. However, they liked silence and would go crazy if they were disturbed. That was why they were not suitable to be contracted as spirit beasts. They must have accidentally awakened it when they arrived on the island. What was worse was that the cloud-bearing beast was a 13th level spirit beast. It was equivalent to a late-stage soul formation cultivator. In addition, spirit beasts were stronger than human cultivators of the same level. Yifeng felt the urge to vomit blood. If this had happened before, he would have thought that he and Sect Master Shen could take it down. But that was only if the other party knew how to tame beasts. What should they do? Was it too late to escape? Roar! The cloud-bearing beast roared again. Huge waves formed in the surrounding water, forming a semicircle that enveloped half of the island. Shit! There was no way to escape. Yifeng hurriedly made a hand seal and set up an array core. Then, he summoned the spirit sword and said in a low voice, Sect Master Shen, this beast cannot be contracted. I will try to see if I can force it to sleep. Please help me guard this array core. Oh, okay. She nodded vigorously. All the best. Only then did he fly out. As he flew above the gigantic beast, he formed a seal with both hands. Suddenly, vines as thick as a human's appeared on the ground. They wrapped themselves around the cloud-bearing beast. Shening glanced at the glowing array beneath her feet. Guarding the eye of the array meant that the tortoise would not be able to touch it, right? Winky face. Just as she was thinking about it, she heard a cracking sound in front of her. Yifeng's vines could not hold the gigantic cloud-bearing beast in place. They began to break apart. The beast's mouth, full of sharp teeth, turned and bit towards the sky. As it turned, the 4 sturdy legs of the pillar moved with it. Coincidentally, they moved towards the array formation. Shening frowned and slapped it. Didn't you say you can't touch it? Chapter 96. With a loud thud, one of the beast's legs was smacked back. It instantly lost its balance and fell to the ground with a loud crash. Yifeng, who was in a blind spot, was elated. Although he did not know how the cloud-bearing beast had tripped, this was an opportunity. He immediately made use of the opportunity to conjure the remaining array. Instantly, a huge array appeared in the sky. Golden talisman characters flowed within the array as it slowly descended towards the beast. The beast, which had been roaring angrily, became softer and softer. Even the huge pair of crimson eyes began to close slowly. The array descended even further. Just as the cloud-bearing beast was about to close its eyes completely, the array descended to the area around its eyes. Suddenly, it opened its mouth and bit down on the array. With a loud crack, the array shattered into thousands of pieces and disappeared. The cloud-bearing beast also opened its eyes. It looked even more furious than before. It opened its mouth and spat out many sharp thorns that flew towards Yifeng. Yifeng had no choice but to retreat and block the poisonous thorns. Just as he was about to receive the next wave of attacks, the cloud-bearing beast did not seem to have any intention of chasing after him. Instead, it turned around and opened its mouth in the direction of the southeast. Sect Master Shen. Yifeng was shocked. Seeing that the other party was still standing in the array, he shouted, "Get out of there!" He wanted to fly back, but it was too late. The huge beast's head was about to fall towards her. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning descended from the sky and struck the cloud-bearing beast's head with a loud bang. Roared! The beast let out a tragic cry and shrank back. The flesh on its huge head split open, and blood was everywhere. A white figure suddenly appeared in the sky. He stood in the air, his white robe so pure that it did not seem to be tainted by the mortal world. As he slowly descended, it was as if his entire body was emitting a faint white light. In the dim mirage sea, it was extremely obvious. Yifeng, who had finally flown over, looked at the person descending from the sky in disbelief. He blurted out, "Spirit Master." The man did not reply. His cold gaze was fixed on the cloud-bearing beast on the ground. The beast, which was extremely violent a moment ago, seemed to have seen its natural enemy. It let out a whimper and desperately curled up into a ball, trembling as it retreated, until it completely retreated off the island. It curled up on the surface of the sea, only revealing half of its head as it looked at the person who had just appeared. It looked as if it wanted to escape, but did not dare to. Why are you here?" Yifeng quickly stepped forward and subconsciously asked. Didn't he never leave the Myriad Beast Peak? Could it be that he had sensed that he was in danger and rushed over? The other party did not reply. It should be said that he completely ignored him. He only turned his head and looked straight at Shening, who was still standing in the array. He did not return to his senses for a long time. Shening felt a little uncomfortable being stared at. She subconsciously looked at herself to see if she was dirty. Seeing that the other party still did not move, she could only greet him politely. Hi, hello, my name is Shening. The man was stunned for a moment. He clenched his fists by his side, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Shening thought that he was going to say something, but he suddenly turned around and turned his back to her. She was thrown into the background. What did he mean? Was she being despised? The corner of Shenying's mouth twitched. She did not notice that the ink-black hair on the side of the other party's face had been stained with a hint of pink, faintly spreading to the side of his neck. Sect, Master Shen. Only then did Yifeng remember that there were other people present. He hurriedly went forward to explain. Spirit. He has always been a man of few words. Oh. Shening nodded unhappily. Your family? Heir. Should he say yes or no? Shening did not mind and asked casually. What is his surname? This. Yifeng looked at the person who had turned his back to her, hesitating. Bai Zhe. The man suddenly turned around and looked straight at Shening. My name. After a while he immediately turned back. Shening. Was her face that scary? Yifeng was even more shocked. Didn't the spirit master never mention his identity to anyone? Why did he just say his real name? He hurriedly looked at Shening worriedly, seeing that she did not have any special reaction. As if she did not notice anything wrong with the name. He heaved a sigh of relief. He laughed awkwardly. Hee. Sect Master Shen, please don't mind him. Spirit, he does not interact with strangers in the past, so. Social phobia? What the hell was social phobia? I think so. To prevent her from asking any more questions, Yifeng nodded. Oh, so that was it. She nodded in understanding. Without asking any more questions, she turned to look at the mess in front of her and changed the topic. Director, where are we going next? This. He subconsciously looked at the white figure beside him and immediately looked away. He could only try to send a voice transmission to the other party. Thank you for your help, Spirit Master. But we still need to go deeper into the Mirage Sea to look for spirit beasts. I wonder. He waited for a while before a cold voice transmission came. Let's go. Spirit Master means to travel with us? But. Yifeng could not believe it. We would not dare to trouble Spirit Master with such a small matter. Although the Mirage Sea is dangerous, things like the cloud-bearing beast are rare. Spirit Master, you do not have to worry. Moreover, it is not good for your identity to be exposed. Why don't? Before he could finish, the other party had already flown in front of him. A cold voice sounded beside his ear. Follow. Was the Spirit Master so friendly? Yifeng felt as if he had been hit by a pie. He hurriedly summoned his flying sword, and did not forget to look back at Shening. Sect Master Shen, do you want to come with us? Sure, thank you. Shening naturally went up to him. The three of them flew out of the island. Yifeng followed by Zhe about 5 steps away from him. He could not suppress the excitement in his heart. With the Spirit Master around, he would not have to worry about the cloud-bearing beast, even if it was a higher-level spirit beast. He suddenly could not wait to see the next spirit beast. A while later, Director, what is the Spirit Master? Shening suddenly asked. Yifeng stumbled and almost fell off the spirit sword. His heart sank, and he turned around stiffly. Oh no, she still heard it. Spirit Master is a special way of addressing the elders in the Yi family. Yifeng forced a stiff smile and explained. Oh. Shening nodded and continued. Then what identity can he not reveal? Yifeng's legs trembled again. This time he really fell. After a while, he steadied his sword and looked at Shening in disbelief. How? How did you know? Didn't you say it yourself just now? Shening looked calm. What did he say? Could it be? Suddenly thinking of something, she scratched her head and said, were you whispering to each other just now? I don't think his mouth moved. Is it too late to pretend not to hear anything? Yifeng wanted to die. How did you hear people's voice transmissions? Hey, for all that you're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.